streaming.
Listen, someone had to get beat.
We're beating people?
Maybe I haven't beaten Crow enough. Oh my god.
Why? Okay. Wait, isn't that because that dude does that to people?
Yeah,
in the game?
Faust, yeah, Pie's main.
Yeah. Right.
There's also my main.
Where?
Yeah,
Where am I streaming? Because it's not showing me stream on Twitch.
2 days in a row, just murdering you.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Listen, I gotta take out my aggression.
Got 5 minutes. I'm gonna grab VR.
Okay, see you in 5 minutes.
She's like, no, it's really just because I've been gone for a while that I have all this aggression that is just being released around me.
Yeah.
How hard did you hit the floor?
What do you mean? Not that hard.
I heard it
This
stomp.
is just pulp.
I heard it.
Yeah.
This is grape rinds.
But
Okay, I was just making sure you're not hurting your foot or anything.
No. Intuos, get off the camera, you damn main character. God, you start streaming and you automatically just get in front of every damn camera you see, huh?
pulp.
I did this before.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
My laptop has integrated graphics.
In there. Doesn't have a walk animation. Nah,
Yum,
it's
Chrome.
alright. That's fine.
Not my thing. Tastes a little bloody.
Yeah, I bet it does. I bet you're not supposed to bite into that.
Hey, Crow. Have some void.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, void.
A nice cup of void.
Wait, what happened to my orange?
What? The orange what?
You want some pulp?
You want some cup of void?
Oh my goodness.
What, did you put them in a specific way? I don't know.
They're there for later. It's a mouse tool that'll help us later. Also, I'm just gonna hold on. Where are you guys at? Here you guys are. Hello. Welcome to the stream if you're here. In case you don't know what this is a murder mystery class for the Converse community.
I want to be able to see the darkness.
Looking at.
I want to be able
Okay.
to swallow
TLDR, we start about 5 minutes. Well, now about 2 minutes, but still. This is a video talking about or explaining to people who haven't been playing Murder Mystery for that long how some of us have played it for a really long time, how we handle it, some stresses. Just kind of like, I don't want to say it's like an ethics class, but it's more of a class that's dedicated to... Oh, I'm really short. That explains a lot. There we go. A class that explains to them how we play, what I expect to play, and this is also kind of a little surprise, something that if we have problematic players who try to say they didn't know any better, and I've directly shown them the stream, this is why it's being recorded, they're not going to be able to get away with being like, oh, I didn't know, though. Murder Mystery is a really fun minigame. I really enjoy it. I'm hoping to revive it. We're working on some stuff to make it more enjoyable and more accessible to people. But you can only really play Murder Mystery when it's based off trust. And right now, I feel like with the new community that we've been building, there are some people who don't really have that trust yet. Or there are some people who think that they know what they're doing, but they really don't. And I'm not saying they don't know how to do it like as a host. Hosts can host however they want. You don't have to host my way. You don't have to host his way. You don't have to host anybody's specific way. But if you're a player, you do need to respect the host's rules. So that's what this stream is about. So it's less of gameplay, more of talkie-talkie. I appreciate if you stick around anyways, if you're curious of learning about Murder Mystery. And we're going to be talking about a lot of drama as well. Not with Converse. Old drama. So if you also like a drama mama, we're gonna have some getting on. I'm just waiting for one more person to join, then we're gonna start. Hello, Starcat. Hello, Sunless. How y'all doing today?
I was like, yep. I sat in those chairs for less than a minute and I went, sir, how you
I also am gonna have to move you guys eventually. Oh, Shadow is on his way back. Perfect. So when he joins, we will start. Because how can I even think about starting without Shadow? Impossible. I forgot now. There's like a new way. Gestures. There we go. Impossible.
There's like nothing. I don't understand it. We open the cupboard.
Where is he?
Risky.
Risky! There's no totem! The fuck you doing?
So I went, I don't know what these are for, but I'm putting the hamburger.
He's contributed to the totem. Call to the lamb.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. We can contribute
Oh
to
yeah.
the
Oh wait, no, I don't have. I used
my God, this-
like I was at 12k points and now I'm down to like 3k. because
Get
I took the lamb.
fucked. Doing good. Thank you for joining. I think I'll draw while I'm watching. That's fair. We appreciate you here. All right. We're going to start. If everyone who is not part of the people that I asked to speak could sit over there or over there. There's 2 chairs. Go ahead and pick whichever ones are most comfortable for you. Perfect. Got really empty real fast. And then Insane Bernard, if you two could come over here, please, on this side. Just so the camera can see your beautiful faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might need a high chair for Bernard.
Huh?
Oh, wait, no, I'm just
You
making
want me
myself
to
bigger
not be
because I
Guy
can.
Fieri? Or
You can be whatever you want, Pip.
Better.
As long as you have a fallback that Quest users could see, which
Not when you're staring
actually
at
there's
me
no
like
Quest
that.
users here, so they can go fuck themselves. I didn't say that, teehee.
The shade in your eyes got so
Look
fucking
into my
desolate.
emotionless eyes.
All right, let me, real quick. First, I want to say,
your hands are invisible.
yeah, he lost them. He lost them in the war.
Damn. Damn, can you believe it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did my hands go?
Summer, where are my hands?
Oh my goodness. Welcome everybody who showed up. I want to thank all of you who showed up in person, and I also want to thank everyone who's showing up on stream as well. A lot of people multitasking. And I also want to say a special thank you to Bernard, Insane, Shadow, and Pip for showing up and helping me with this class. Yeah, that's pretty much all I really thought about. That's as far ahead that I thought. So we're just going to jump right ahead in it. I want to give individual introductions to each person, and then they can give their own introduction, and I will tell you why I chose them to come in. And we're going to be starting with Bernard. Bernard here.
Okay, I thought first.
Yeah, Bernard here, I've known almost as long as I've been playing Murder Mystery, and ever since I've known him, and I say this with all of the love in my heart, he gets fucked over really easily. Like, he is the easiest person to get fucked over. He dies first, he murders first, he gets prosecuted first, he is always the first to go. However,
Someone has to be first.
exactly. The game doesn't continue unless somebody takes the L, and Bernard has the best temper when it comes to like taking an L in Murder Mystery, and that's something that I've always noticed. He's really good at handling loss. I think it's amazing. Bernard, would you like to introduce yourself and say anything else?
Well, I mean, I am Bernard. Also, would like to say it's like an acquired taste, kind of like wine. You just kind of get used to it. It's something like that, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. Next we have is my friend Insane. Insane is not the one that got me into Murder Mystery, but one of the first games that I played of Murder Mystery. He has been hosting for longer than I. We have very different hosting styles. However, that doesn't mean that we can't complement each other on our hosting styles. And he's seen a lot of shit. And I mean a lot of shit. And when I say that our Murder Mystery games go pretty well compared to some of the stunts that people have pulled in his games, I say that with all of the love in my heart. Some people that have shown up as his are absolute assholes, and he's going to talk about how he handles them and some other stuff, talking about little bits of being a host and getting you a perspective that maybe it's not just our hosts that are tired of bullshit, maybe it's all hosts that are tired of bullshit. Anything you'd like to add?
I'm just sitting here trying to recall my fucking Murder Mystery intro. It's been ages.
Don't worry, Crow's here.
Oh.
You need me?
No.
Next up is Shadow. Shadow has been hosting, or helping, not hosting. I don't know if you've hosted that much.
I'll host.
You host, okay.
I've hosted a little, just co-host.
Okay, Shadow is a co-host. He's been in the murder mystery longer than anybody here. He is very well versed in murder mystery and great gaslighter in my opinion, and also has seen both the back ends of games as well as the front ends of games. Would you like to say
Didn't come up with anything to say. Hello, everyone.
Okay, perfect. And last but not least,
my intro.
we have Laypip. Laypip is our resident asshole. And when I say that, I say it in the nicest way possible. This man made a cult and murder mystery, and he could just look at someone and say, I want you dead, and 4 people would go and kill them immediately and get away with it. This motherfucker completely changed the vibe of murder mystery for a long fucking time. And, as I said, the resident asshole will not fucking deal with anybody's bullshit in a game. Would you like to say anything, Pip?
Howdy, everybody. I'm Pip, your resident flavor god. I have, in fact, created a cult. I have killed everybody at least once, including Insane. I have done all sorts of things, because the point is, this is about having fun. And if you're not having fun, get fucked, shit lips, and get out of my sight.
Exactly.
I feel like there's a very important feat of Pip's that needs to be mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
The rejected mode game that I've done, where all of the roles are meant to be busted and overpowered. This dude on the other end over there managed to get through the entire game and win without having a roll. That was his challenge for the game. He won rejected mode with no roll.
As much as you want to say there can be overpowered game mechanics, overpowered this, overpowered that, the way to win any murder mystery game, raw, unfiltered charisma. Make somebody believe they want you to do the funny thing, and they'll do it for you. It's super fun.
Exactly. And then, last but not least, I'm assuming you guys know who I am, but just in case you don't, my name is Nuance. I've been hosting Murder Mystery. Fun fact, my very first game of Murder Mystery was a game that I hosted. I hosted before I actually started playing, which is a little ass backwards, but you know, that's fine. I used to specialize in trials. I enjoyed figuring out who done it. And then after a series of not so fun games, I decided that I would just focus on hosting and doing more role-play styled games rather than just basic games. And that's the team. Now, obviously, we have some other people. We have, like, Crow, who's been in Murder Mystery a while, Moth, who's been in Murder Mystery a while, Intuos and Nebula, who host in Converse for Murder Mystery, Risky, who's making Murder Mystery, but these 4 all have a different thing that Nebula, you don't need help, you're fine. These 4 all have a different skill set that I feel is imperative for you to understand. And so, first and foremost, the plan that I have here, and I'm going to turn around because the camera doesn't need to look at my face. It's honestly unfair that they have to keep looking at me when there's 4 beautiful people up here. Especially you, Pip, you look great. All right. Let me grab my list. So how this is going to work, let me turn around one more time. I'm sorry, I got to be the center of attention again. How this is going to work is I have 3 phases to this. I have the standard, let me just do a quick overview about the entire fucking game in case you are really confused and don't understand. And then we have story time, which is where I'm going to be like asking pointed questions towards them. And then we have the actual questions that you guys entered. And some of them I'll let them answer. Some of them I will only answer just because it depends on the host kind of situation. And yeah, and then after that, if you have any extra questions or chat, you guys have questions, you can go ahead and ask and we shall answer. If you have a question that's relative to whatever we're talking about, go ahead and like raise your hand, do a little jig, I don't know, and just let me know. And chat, if I don't see it, just make sure to type what the context is of your question. S'il vous plaît, and thank ye. So first and foremost, I want to talk about the unspoken rule, which I'm pretty sure most of you know what the unspoken rule is. Maybe these 4 don't know what the unspoken rule is because it's never really like set in stone. But the unspoken rule is you do not play murder mystery if you're in a bad mood. If you get in a bad mood in the game, you leave. That is a rule that I've always lived by. I have always followed it. If I'm in a bad mood, I fucking dip. I tell people they need to dip if they seem like they're pissed off. Being in a bad mood actively ruins the game. Because you will go out of your way to target people, to bitch, whine, moan, go after someone, yell at someone who didn't deserve it. It's like, I'm sure, I'm just going to ask you all, have any of you had a situation where you killed someone in a bad mood and they unfairly blew up on you?
All the time. Yeah, all the time.
Constantly.
Because
Oh yeah.
people,
Somewhat.
like, in my case, it's not been me playing the game, it's always been me hosting, how I pick punishment, and sometimes the punishment is death. Some people, especially those who've assumed they are closer to me than they actually were, thought, oh, Insane would never kill me. I'm on Insane's good side. So when I pick them for a punishment, they get really upset for it when they die. Because they expect special privilege from me.
Which is bullshit. Literally, his roommate
Yeah.
kills me all the time.
Hey, we haven't done Murder Mystery in ages. Don't make me host again just to make that true.
Just make that true.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything to add to that?
Man, I mean, I've had plenty of people blow up on me, especially when I was doing the cult stuff, but the entire point is it's very easy for that to ruin the night. Ignore them. They're on the internet. If you gotta
Right.
block them, you block them. There's millions of other
Yeah, and I've kind of seen it. It just kind of escalates like gradually over time. Like you start just a little bit annoyed, and then if it still keeps going your way, it just go more and more and more until you just kind of blow up, and then it ruins everything. Everything, right?
Exactly. That's the point that I'm trying to make, is the fact that when you play in a bad mood and you take it out on somebody else, that person, it will affect them in general, unless you're cool like Pip. But in general, it will hurt their feelings. It'll make them feel bad. Even Pip would probably be like, yo, what is going on? Like, these people, they have skin thicker than most of the people in Converse. They've dealt with a lot of shit. We've been playing since 2019, so we're used to dealing with bullshit like that. But it still doesn't feel good when you get attacked, berated, yelled at, or anything like that when you didn't do anything wrong. The end goal of Murder Mystery is you murder and you solve the mystery. That's it. And if you get mad because they did one of those two things, that's not really fair. Of course, there are situations where you can't control your emotions. I'm a strong believer that you can't control your emotions. You can control your actions. So if you feel like you're getting all heated and bothered and pissed off, you need to go to a host or a co-host immediately, and you need to tell them, hey, I am getting too heated for this. I need to take a step back. It's not a get out of jail free card. If you committed a murder and you're getting pissed off because they're about to catch you, you can't really be like, oh, I'm pissed off, I gotta take a break. That's not really fair, because especially if you committed the murder, that's just like saying, oh yeah, you can't vote me now. Sorry, I don't make the rules. I know Insane, we're gonna talk about it later, about how you have rules that overcome little loopholes, such as people going AFK after committing a murder, because we're not gonna name any names, but there was somebody who had a really bad habit of killing then going AFK so people wouldn't think that they were the one that murdered. So
that's just straight up not allowed. If you're not to out a killer, like, obviously, let's say Crow killed someone, and then Crow said,
Bastard.
no, I need to go AFK. I make it so that not just the killer can't go AFK during a trial, but the killer and
Ooh.
any suspects for the
Hold on.
free piece of evidence.
Welcome to
I
the party.
give at
Thank you for
beginning of the
following that
trial are
guy.
not
Big hard
allowed to go
hands.
AFK.
exactly.
It's either, it depends on the circumstance, but it's either if they go AFK after killing, without my permission, either one, the kill gets reversed, two, they straight up, like, the kill ends up being them instead of like the kill being revived or whatever, or whatever punishment seems most fun at the time for me.
Hold on, let me get some water. All right. Very carefully put that water back, because yesterday I put water back on the table and I missed. I was fucked up yesterday. I didn't even do anything fun. I just slammed into a wall. Yeah. Yeah, party. I do the real party. But yeah, so that is the unspoken rule, and that is a rule that I always expect every player to take. If somebody notices somebody breaking that rule, I expect that as a player to come over to the host or co-host, say, hey, they seem to be a little pissed off. Can you just make sure that they're okay? Host goes over and check. If they are pissed off, you take a break. You go sit down if you aren't doing anything. Like if you're in a murder, I'm sorry, you've kind of locked yourself in there. Because also I'd like to consider the possibility of, once again, Crow murdered Moth, right? And after she killed Moth, if she got mad because people were like, maybe there was a witness or something, well, Moth is probably not too happy about being murdered either. They probably were like, yo, what the fuck? Damn it. And so now, It'd be especially aggravating if Crow got away by saying that she was AFK and Moth still took the death. Because that means that there was no punishment whatsoever. Moth just died unfairly. Because one thing, and I will admit it, that's satisfying about murder mystery is when you get murdered and your killer gets caught. It's always satisfying to see them get caught. Unless it's a really good murder. Or unless you get too drunk that you accidentally just straight up admit that you're the killer. Fantastic game, one of my favorites. Oh, always good, always good. Oh, all right. The second thing on the list is how to kill. It's pretty easy. Pip, would you like to grab one of the colorful bottles and... There you go. That's it. Was anybody really confused about that?
It's right in his pelvis.
Okay.
Shadow, I'm so sorry.
Oh my goodness.
I call it the Chinese finger trap.
You don't have to do this, but this is just stupid, and I want to.
There you go. See?
Yeah. If you die...
They don't even have the hands to defend themselves.
Okay. If you die, you know, if you have a weapon, no matter who you are, you do the same thing. You go up, you hold the weapon in their face, you say, insert name here, whatever their name is, you are dead. If you don't know their name, you wave it in front of their face and say, hey, you are dead. There is no way, if you are a speaker, to use it in a mute way. However, there is a way if that you do not talk in games. We have a lot of players who, in Insane Asylum specifically, who do not talk during games because that is their own comfortability. They would just do the same thing, except instead of talking, they'd walk up, put it in front of their face, shake it, and then drop it. And that represents you are dead. You cannot take it back. You cannot say oopsie doopsie otta poopsie. You have killed them. You can't just stab somebody and be like, oh, my bad. The only exception is double kills, which we'll get into later.
Oh, I was scratching my face.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So that's how to kill. That's pretty simple. That's pretty easy. I'm going to skip that one. Actually, no. You know what? We're going to actually talk about it now. This is specifying mainly the two at the end, but you two can also answer. And mainly specifying you because I literally opened you up with your low survivability rate. What are some tips? And we're going to start with Pip, Shadow, Insane, Bernard. What is a tip that you would give somebody to survive better? What is your recommendation on how you can survive in murder mystery?
The best way to survive, I've found, is be outgoing, show that you want to talk to everybody, be active, because I know the actual way to survive, which is boring, is just stay in a group of people at all times because you can't be murdered then. That's boring. The better way is when you do introductions, be bubbly, be like, hey, I'm here to have fun, and talk to people, open up, converse, get to know people, because the more people that know you, the more people, if you are the most entertaining person in the room, nobody wants to fucking kill you, because then they're public enemy.
That is fair. That is in fact a
Because
very
that's
much a
exactly how I started a cult. You get bubbly, you start talking to everybody, you make funny jokes, you make everybody pay attention to you. Because then nobody's gonna murder you because everybody's following you around, everybody's staring at you. It's great. And then you can also start directing trials and start doing stuff, because if you're the charismatic person, you're talking, you're having fun, you're making sure everybody else is having fun. Read the room. I know it's not easy. They write books on this stuff. Read a book. And then you'll be able to fucking... That's the easiest way to beat murder mysteries. Read a book on how to talk to people. Do that.
Or use WikiHow.
That too. YouTube videos. There are college courses online you can take for free on this stuff. And it takes time, but it will help.
If you take a fucking college course on how to be charismatic for murder mystery, props to you, but like use it in real life first. Don't use it in just murder mystery. I swear to God. All right.
Well, it's the thing. You can do it for fun and use it in real life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, learning a lot of new skills. It's always healthy. Shadow, what do you got to say?
Another thing to think about, before you murder someone, think about how you're going to get away with it. Just don't go in loosey-goosey and throw something at someone and then be like, oh fuck, I have no backup for this. Think of, before you murder them, be like, okay, I need to think where I was, an alibi, different things before murdering. Think about it.
Okay. That's a good piece of tip. Insane?
I don't think there's doing a thing.
Okay. Shut up! Other people are talking, Bernard. Anyways, for me, my strategy-wise is you gotta play it real smart. Charisma is a huge factor in it, but also being the center of attention constantly can invite challenge. It usually ends with the challenge dying because, you know, you have a whole cult ready to throw at them, and then they feel like they've died unfairly. But to keep things fun and interesting, and like Pip stopped doing the cult thing quite a bit in the murder mystery because he found it too easy, and it upset quite a few people who weren't in the in-group. So the fun and smart way to do it is, one, be paranoid. Paranoia helps. Don't trust anyone, even your closest friends, because as Pip says, we don't hesitate to kill each other if it would benefit each other. Two, make sure you are, I wouldn't say trusting, but at least allied with strong people in the game. People who are smart, people who can make connections, and people who aren't easily swayed. And those are the people you want to ally with, but of course don't make it an obvious thing where you're just sitting on their lap all the time. And in my opinion, avoiding groups is an easier way of surviving than staying in a group. That's on a personal bias for me, just because I've found when I'm grouped up with other people, the second that group turns its eyes away, I'd get picked off from the crowd, and then just, they turn back around and they're just like, oh shit, who killed Insane? Meanwhile, being on my own, I didn't get comfy. I was constantly on a spiral. If I saw someone heading my way, I'd have a weapon ready to either make the kill hard on them. Something like that. Don't make yourself an easy target. Don't get too comfortable. Be paranoid, be smart about it. That's what I gotta say.
Exactly. All right, Bernard, wrap it up.
Yeah.
What are
Okay,
your tips?
I'll be honest, I feel like they've pretty much covered most of everything. I could also say try to be a little bit more on the proactive side. Like if you're noticing that like literally everybody is not doing anything, you can try and be the one causing the act yourself and just surviving that way by not actually dying. Because if you kill other people, you're not gonna get killed. Most of the time, anyways.
It's kill or be killed in this
No,
world.
People do have to die for the game to end. So
Yes.
if you kill everybody else, there's a lot less likely that you have to be one of the people that die for the game to end.
Exactly. So, first of all, hold on. I thought I saw a comment in chat. Is this bad? I'm not going to remember any of this. Well, this video will be saved. So if you need to refresh, go ahead. There will also be a more like professional one later. It is going to be on the test actually. So don't lie to them. There'll be a test at the end of this. I'm sorry. I didn't mention that. All right. Next, actually, Insane brought this up, and I think it was Insane that brought this up. Which is talking about alliances, talking about when you get with somebody who is smarter, stronger, faster, harder, better, whatever that song is. Anyways, so there are some comments I want to make before we talk about alliances, though, because alliances are a double-edged sword. While yes, it is good to make alliances with people, if you are not able to change your alliances up every game, if you use the same 4 or 5 people every single game, that is when you start getting into teaming territory. And the big difference between alliances and teaming is that alliances are usually game-based. I see that you have a useful role. I want to work with you. Or I see that maybe you are doing something that aligns with what I want to do. I'm working with you. Versus teaming up would be, I hang out with only these 4 every single game. If the game has 12 people, we make up a quarter of the game. A third of the game. Yeah, a third of the game. There we go. Math bother me. And that means it's much easier for us to get away with things. Let's say we allow 2 deaths per game. Pip and Bernard both kill. I did it backwards, but you know, they both killed somebody. Now all 4 of us can just mix up the story, and now we've just taken over the entire game. If we end up with 8 people, and we're the 4 of those 8 people, we've just won. It's always going to be a tie, or we pick who wins. And that's when the game becomes unfair. The remaining other people feel like it's not fair to them. They get upset. And then Pip brought up that people were upset because they felt like they weren't the in crowd of the cult. I don't know if I was part of the cult or not, but I do remember having a conversation with him and a few other people that I think were considered the in crowd. And at the beginning, the cult was kind of funny, but it started taking a bad turn when even outside of Insane's games, because there were other murder mystery hosts, people were killing in the name of flavor. And it was funny until it happened every single game. So every single game would have roughly the same outcome, whatever Pip wanted to happen. And that really started to, muddy everything, because then the game's not really mystery anymore. It's murder. It's just lambs to the slaughter. Whoever Pip decides needs to go, needs to go. And the cult had good intentions at the beginning, because the cult originally started because there were people who were extremely problematic in the game. People who were causing problems constantly, whining, moaning, bitching, breaking rules. One of my favorite stories, this was after the cult was over, but my favorite story to tell is one of the games that I hosted, because I've wanted to host in every single murder mystery map, just to say that I've hosted in all of them. There is one called Death Edge 3. And, yeah, some of you remember this. In Death Edge 3, you can actually run up the sides of buildings, and it will shoot your memento up and you'll start flying. And if you know what the flutter step is, which is pressing forward really quickly in SDK2 worlds, you can literally float anywhere. Pip did that with a shovel, flew all the way up at the top of the map, and flutter stepped all the way down until he found this guy who was constantly breaking the rules, killed him, and continued flying away. And there were witnesses, but everyone just thought it was too funny to even admit who it was.
You're missing the point where I was a flaming skeleton T-posing from the heavens.
Yeah.
Sending to smite the sinner.
But
oh my god.
That is a thing that is really helpful. If you are a player who notices that somebody is being very disrespectful, and in reality, as a host, I should have just told them to fuck off and kicked them. I don't remember the whole story completely, I just remember that part. I think they hadn't hit that point yet where I was willing to kick them, but because they were killed, it wasn't a problem anymore. Am I saying that you should be the one to decide who is the problematic player? No, unless you're a host or co-host or have experience, or you have that trust between the host and yourself that you know that this person is going to be a problem, then that's fine. Pip is somebody that I trust in murder mystery, so I didn't really bat an eye thinking it was targeting. He recognized an issue. He knew the game needed to keep going forward. It was very hard to kill in that map. That map sucked. So it all worked out. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that on stream. It was a great map, I swear.
Okay.
I don't actually. I lie. I changed my mind. All right, next. Okay. Next is a big issue. I'm gonna hear the groaning from all of you. And it's called latency and death avoiding. When somebody thinks they've killed and they didn't kill. Or, vice versa. So how it works is we're going to do really, really easy little trip, okay? Insane. I'm going to start running towards you. As soon as I start running towards you, I want you to shoot off that way. Exactly. Well, you gotta come back so we can do it.
Sorry, you're lagging too much. I was already gone when you were talking to whoever was there.
Uh-huh. Oh, hold on. There we go. So I'm going to start running towards you. As soon as I run, start running. All right? You're dead. So now many of you may have seen that I hit him. I killed him. He did not move. Maybe you saw something differently. That's the point. If you go back and look at the stream, you will see I had dropped the weapon and said you dead before he walked away. However, on his screen, I can guarantee all he saw was this. Like a single step forward. I hadn't even made it close to him. And that is an important understanding that needs to be brought up. Because there will be times where people call something death avoiding, when in reality, it's most likely latency. Now, I'm not saying that every death avoider is a latent issue, and maybe they're actually a death avoider. We'll get into the complexities of that later. However, don't assume that they burned the field just because they picked the flower. I don't know if that makes sense, but here, you can have that.
Yes. Oh, damn.
Enjoy it. That is something that I just feel is extremely important for a lot of players to understand. And that's also why, in the future, we'll be trying to avoid that altogether with weapons that'll just make you force stop. Because I fucking hate latency, and I hate the ambiguousness of it just being like, oh, I didn't hear it. I walked away as soon as they tried to kill me. And then the other person's like, well, I saw you walk towards me and I walked away as soon as there. And it's not really fair to either side, because even if you don't pick a side, and like, you have to do something, and no matter what you're doing is picking a side. Either they live, which is taking their side, or they died, which is taking the killer side. It's a shitty situation either way. Yes.
As a professional player who has played over thousands of these fucking games, this is more on to be a better player. You should always, if somebody's running at you with a weapon, the immediate instinct is to run, right? You want to. You're like, oh, I don't want to die. The point of the game is to die. That's the point. So if somebody's coming at you with a weapon, just take it. There'll be another game, and there's a chance that something funny happens. If you're like, well, no, this person's kind of playing bullcrap. Of course, there are fringe cases and stuff. But if you're sitting in a corner by yourself and somebody walks into the room with a weapon, you've earned it. They've earned that kill. You were out of position. You fucked up. Just take it, because it makes everything go smoother. If you try to death avoid, if you try to run, if you try to do any of that stuff, it just makes everything awkward. People get heated. Makes the game take longer. It's not worth it.
I'd like to add with that too.
I would also.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, you first.
I was going to say, I would also like to state that if you do accidentally move away from a death, I would say, if you're still alone with the person that was trying to kill you, ask what they want to do. See what they want to do, because they obviously tried.
Yeah, they could be like, oh, never mind, or they could be like, yeah, and then keep going. Because there are plenty of times where I'll do that, and the person will be like, oh shit, sorry, and I'm like, it's fine, whatever, and I'll throw the weapon and we'll move on with the day. It just depends on the vibe, you know? Because if you're a good sport and they're a good sport, there's nothing bad that's gonna happen. But if they're a shithead and you're being a good sport, you're the good guy, and it doesn't matter, because you were good and they were the shit, so it doesn't matter. But if you're both acting like shitters, then the host has to deal with it, and then they get in a bad mood, and everything gets dragged down. You can handle shit on your own, even as a player. That's how you move up in the ranks and stuff, is if you can show that you're basically helping the host without even doing anything, they start respecting you. They start actually giving you responsibilities, giving you better roles, giving you better everything. It's the point of try to make the game better by playing it. Be a better sport.
I do have a counter that comes with a little bit of a warning.
Thank you for following, Weber.
There are some personalities and some people who aren't as receptive to Pip's good guy nature. One major thing you always have to remember, and sometimes it can be hard to remember because, like, my advertisement for myself was I'm the host you hate the most, but the host is always going to be your best friend in the game when it comes to mechanics, balance, and things like that. When it comes to receiving a punishment from the host, they're not going to be your best friend. But when it comes to a general, hey, this thing is happening, I need help, the host will always, well, if they're a good host, they'll always be ready to be like, okay, what's happening? Such as for death avoiding, if you feel like someone's been avoiding death all the time, instead of doing what Pip said and saying like, oh, hey, what do you want to do about this? I know you've been doing this, or I've been doing this. What should we do? Some people can blow up on you for even just the slightest accusation. So, if you don't feel like Pip, who has a bunch of experience dealing with such people already, and you still feel kind of new and timid to bring such a thing up, always bring it up to the host. Don't bring it up in a crowd. Say, hey, nuance, can I talk to you in the private room or something like that? Hey, Crow's been death avoiding. I don't know if they know they've been doing it or if it's a latency thing on my end, but can you, like, help me out here? Usually what I would do is I'd be like, okay, I'll keep an eye on them and see if they're actively death avoiding or if it's a latency thing, and the host will resolve it for you. Because some cases, you dealing with yourself, that's how you spark a huge problem, get the mood killed in a game, and it can just snowball into an issue where the game's no longer fun.
And I'd like to finish up with this one with one other big issue, which I've said many, many times. I've had it in posts almost every time we talk about murder mystery, is when you have these issues, okay? We have a fight. People death avoid. People get upset for death avoiding. People are causing problems. The game's going really long. You know what happens? The hosts don't want to host as much anymore because they don't want to put the effort into enjoying a game or working on a game if all they're going to get is bitching and moaning and complaining from people who are constantly breaking the rules. And then you can get rid of those people, but then maybe you have issues with new people. Or maybe those people, like, had a situation and you didn't know about it, and then there's constant infighting, and then it starts spiraling to the point where people want to host less, people want to play less, people want to go less. And so, as Pip says, if you just take it, there'll be other games. Because if the game goes well, it inspires the hosts to want to do more and to do special games and to have special roles and have more fun and do it more often. Instead of once a month, we could be doing it once again, twice or maybe 3 times a month, and everyone would have a chance, and then you may not die first every single time. Unless you're Bernard. I love you, man. I'm sorry.
That's bad.
It's important to be able to handle yourself.
In this world.
I swear to God.
Let's see.
It's a maturity thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta take the L, and again, there will always be another game. Take the L, and eventually you get 2 L's, it turns into a W.
Right.
Wumbo logic was that?
It's because LLW.
No. Oh, wait, that's the... Okay, never mind, yeah.
I got it.
If it's out here forging Waluigi.
Really gotta have messed up if you get a backwards L. All I'm saying.
Oh my god.
Well, also, that's kind of why it's important to be able to handle yourself, and why I keep saying, if you aren't in a good mood, or if you're just somebody who emotionally is too sensitive to handle the games, maybe it's not for you. And there are ways you could still enjoy Murder Mystery without having to actually play it. You could help out in games. You could just spectate games. You could... fucking Shadow's here.
What?
Not that Shadow. The other Shadow.
Ow. Ow.
Welcome. Please make yourself comfortable wherever you'd like.
Thought that was a bit for a minute. I don't
No.
know why.
No, they're loading.
I'm just so like on time.
I could never say ugh, Shadow is here for that Shadow. That'd be rude. For my host though, easily. What was I saying? Fuck, I don't remember. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Next up is trial time. So trials are a bit of a mixing bag. Another reason why I wanted this whole combo of people is that some people like trials and like to be in trials. Other people completely zone out in trials and don't want to participate at all. This is a bit controversial, but both are valid depending on the player. And that's the big one, is it depends on who the person is and how they are playing the game in general. And I'm going to have Insane talk about how his trials work a little bit as well. But a big thing is, I'm going to be using Pip as the example. Pip doesn't really like doing trials. He finds them boring. It's not his style. However, welcome, Shadow. Yeah, pick a spot. Perfect. All right. Pip doesn't like doing trials because he is a killer. He is a cold-blooded killer through and through. He likes to deep fry his enemies and call it there. And you know what? He is still making the game progress, but he doesn't derail the trial. While everybody's doing the trial, he is either lightly invested or he's just doing his own thing, not dragging people from the trial. And that's an important thing. If you don't like trials, you don't have to do a trial. You do not have to be involved in it. Answer the questions that are pertaining to you. So your alibi, maybe your role if it's relevant, where you last saw them, weapons, any information that you may have. But if that's all you want to give, that's fine. Don't be going around, though. If we all were in a trial right now and I was just like, hey, Risky. Hey, Risky. Hey, Risky. Hey, Risky. Do you like Pokemon? Do you want to talk about Pokemon right now? Meanwhile, we're trying to find who fucking destroyed Snipsy, who absolutely put Snipsy through the meat grinder. And yeah, on the other side, that helps the killer get away. But if it's causing frustration, don't do it. If you're doing it as a technique or as like a strategy to derail the trials, fine. If you knew what happened. But if you are unaware of what's going on, you don't want to be involved in it, just step away. Don't step away from the trial in case people ask you questions, but kind of just let people talk. Let them do what they want to do. On the other hand of that, during trials, a lot of people, and this is not just an issue with just our events, I've seen it happen in a lot of people's trials, which is why I want Insane to talk about it a little bit, is people just get off the rails and just stop talking when there's a lot of information. They will go over maybe some of their alibis. They will go over the hints maybe twice, and then they'll just kind of sit around and be like, well, I don't really know who did it. When you should be thinking and using the big brain in your head and be like, okay, Nebula said that he was in the sauna. However, I know Intuos was in the sauna because I saw Intuos come out with the weapon that was in the sauna that I left earlier in the day. So did Intuos see Nebula? And then you'd ask Intuos. If Intuos said yes, okay, cool, Nebula's good. If Intuos says no, Nebula's now a suspect. We need to look more into that. Start looking at his alibi and digging more deeper. You figure out who did the killing. Once again, it's called murder mystery. You can't have one or the other. You have the murder, you need the mystery. So if you don't want to do the murder, at least do the mystery part. Don't just sit in a game and just passively stand there. If you're new, fine. But after like 5, 6, 7 games, I'm expecting the players to be a little active in trying to do something, either using roles, doing trials, committing murders, causing a little chaos, maybe making alliances in the game and then breaking the alliances in the game. Ooh, scandalous. Insane, what do you have to say about trials?
For me, the ways that I moderate trials is strictly on player interest, and player interest was super easy to gauge once I inserted a mechanic called host entertainment. So, host entertainment sounds a little narcissistic, but it's actually a great player mechanic for trials, because if the players are bored as hell in the trial or genuinely have no idea what to do and just want out of the trial, it was like this. The more you entertain the host, the longer the trial would go on. So, during some of my trials, we'd have the thinkers sitting around being like, okay, well, that person did this, that person did this, this and this and this and that. Okay, so we gotta figure this out. Meanwhile, those who weren't as entertained by the trial would run interference with me, causing the trials to go on longer. Like, a lot of the time when Pip was actively, like, trying to help the trials, he would be an entertainer coming up to me, distracting me, trying to get me to stay entertained so that I wouldn't just cut the trial. Meanwhile, Pip's also done this, where he's actively in the trial saying, oh wait, no, this person's done this person's done that, but Pip's been the killer. He's purposely not going to entertain me and trying to keep other people hooked into the trial so that the host entertainment gauge runs shorter so that the murderers can take advantage of a shorter trial with less talking. But you also have the cases of no one really wants to do anything, no one's talking, no one's keeping the host entertained, bam, trial shorter. They don't have to stay in a place where they obviously don't want to be.
First, I also want to say, you can't remember for the quiz? Well, I'm just gonna have to kill you then. I'm sorry. If you fail the quiz, you just die.
She's got a room full of killers.
Yeah, we do.
I was about to say, oh, don't worry, Moon hardly ever kills in a murder mystery. Seeing the lineup she's got behind her, however.
Yep. Like I said, when I talked about trials, I was very rarely a killer. The few kills I did pretty okay, but that was because, as I think Shadow said, I planned far in advance. I had the weapon hidden, I had the weapon ready, I had my escape plan, I had my alibi. I planned far in advance. If a single thing went out of place, then I wouldn't commit the kill. If I hid the axe underneath the bed, and like in one of the maps, and it's in underneath bed 1, and then I see it on bed 3, that tells me somebody has seen the axe. I can no longer kill with the axe. I just completely throw the plan away, and I go and try and think of a new one if I really need to. I do some panic kills as well, and ironically, one of the panic kills I did actually worked, and I still don't understand it to this day. So you can do either one if you really feel like it, but it really depends on who's hosting, who's doing the trial. Find your strength, find your niche, find what you can give to murder mystery as a player. And as you get better in murder mystery, or more confident, or you want to try different things, you can. There are a lot of people who are an all-around character, where they can be support, they can be a killer, they can be a detective, they can just cause chaos. And if you want to try and do that, you're not going to be great right at the start. You're going to have issues, you're going to get caught, you're going to get fucked over, but that's okay, because you will learn what you did wrong from that specific issue. And so, yeah, I think, exactly, it's a game. Nobody should be making you feel like your fuck up is actually the end of the world. And that is something I really want you all to understand. If you make a mistake, even if it's like a mistake out of the game that like breaks hard game rules, if you show that you are actively working on it and being better, then it's okay. We will work on it. I hear an ambulance. If you constantly, though, make the same mistake out of game over and over, such as you keep going into the mod room, you go in the quiet room without permission, you keep touching the mod buttons, you're going to be kicked. You're going to be removed, and you're not going to be able to allow people into the game anymore, or that person. Because murder mystery, at the end of the day, is about trust. And I have to be able to, as a host, to trust all of you to be able to play the game how it's meant to be played. And if you think that you can take advantage of our trust as hosts to get away with something you're not supposed to, that results in you not being able to play. That results in your removal from future games. And then that's not going to make you feel very good when you come back and you realize that you have no trust. If we have a situation where it's a he said, she said, if you have no trust of the hosts are more likely to take their side over yours. You got to think about that kind of stuff, because it's not just one game. There will be other games. And if you break trust in one of those and you keep doing it, there won't be other games that you really get that big of a benefit. You'll end up with like...
We keep a file on you.
We don't. But that's a funny idea. We might.
It's a mental file.
Yeah, it's a mental file.
A mental file, not a real one.
I definitely keep files.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
File everyone.
Yeah, everybody plays a game and they kind of have those people in their head where they, mentally like, I can work with them, I can't work with them. That makes sense. Your actions will be remembered. It's like any kind of fucking video game where you do something. All right, we'll miss you. Actually, perfect timing, because the next thing we were going to talk about was being AFK in emergencies. Bernard here has gone AFK. That means Bernard's going to miss important parts of the game. Does that mean Bernard can't play the game anymore?
No.
Exactly. Okay.
Oh shit! Can I change
Kicks.
my answer?
While it's important to be active during murder mystery and being part of murder mystery, you are not going to get punished if you have an emergency. If something happens out of the game, because once again, it is just a game. We are here to have fun. I am not going to sit here, and if Pip comes in and is just like, yo, my house is on fire, I'm not going to look at him and say, so what are you going to do, Pip? You going to stay till the end?
Burn.
Yeah, that's right. You play until your death. This game, no game in murder mystery is that important at all. End of story. And if somebody tries to make you feel like it is that important, they are not a good host. Now, there is an important thing to mention about taking advantage of emergencies. There are multiple ways you can do an emergency. You could either A, if it's like immediate, once again, house is on fire, throw that shit off, run. All right? We'll figure out later that you had to get off for some important reason. You do not have to report to the host. If you are able to report, tell the host before you leave, or message on Discord the host that you have to leave. You don't have to mention why. We aren't going to ask about your private life. That's your business. But there are ways for you to go when there's an emergency, and you will not get punished. If it becomes a habit where you've killed, oh, I gotta go emergency. You've been killed, oh, I was AFK emergency. If we start seeing a habit of you leaving because of emergencies, even if they're real, we can't really verify that. And unfortunately, unless we know who you are, we're going to have to believe that you are just taking advantage of the AFK system. Because when you're AFK, you cannot be murdered. You cannot be put on trial. It's not really fair to them, whoever is AFK, because they weren't there for the emergency. There is, though, an important distinction, and this is a rule I think Insane has, and this is kind of a loose rule I've integrated, which is if you go AFK and it's not an emergency, let's say you need to go to the bathroom and you go AFK just right on the floor during nighttime, and you come back to a weapon at your feet, you're dead. There's an AFK area in every game. I always specify, I'm assuming the other hosts specify where the AFK area is. You can't be killed in that area. If you need to go AFK, you go into that area. Otherwise, you go AFK in public, you come back killed, you take the death. And then we just gotta go through everybody and see who fucking killed an AFK person. But... anybody...
Who killed you? I don't know.
Do any of you have anything to add to that specific section?
I would say to the you say you killed someone and an emergency did pop up. one that you have to walk away from for a moment. Let the host know. We'll go to them, be like, hey, I just killed someone, but I need to go for a moment, so the host can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
That's also about building that rapport with the host. When they know you very well and they know you're not trying to get out of a kill or anything like that, or skip a trial, they'll be like, okay, we'll figure it out.
Exactly.
It really helps when you actually know the host and you build up a rapport. It helps so much. And not just like getting preferable treatment or anything, but with being able to go up to us and be like, hey, my dog just ran outside, I need to go. And they'll be like, oh yeah, go ahead, sir. Because if I just walked up to you first time I met you and be like, hey man, my refrigerator stopped working, I need to go take care of it, you're gonna be like, really? But if you knew me, you'd be like, oh, he doesn't know shit. You gotta build up.
Exactly.
Now, another thing that might be a question running through someone's mind of, wait, what if I killed someone, but I actually had an emergency? Can't the host just, like, delay a trial or something? No, because, let's say, once again, I'm picking from the room here, Intuos murders someone, and then Intuos' dog really does go outside, or their goldfish jumped out of the bowl and needs to be put back in or something. They need to go. It is a valid emergency, but we can't just hold a dead body on standby and then once Intuos comes back be like, oh, okay, everyone, we can do trial now, because it makes it blatantly obvious that Intuos was the killer.
That, and also,
it's a difficult position to be in. Go ahead, Moon.
I was gonna say that also, if we hold it and let's say Intuos comes back 15 minutes because that goldfish was one slippery motherfucker, people are gonna start melding time zones together. They're gonna not remember what they did the night before and 2 nights before, and they might connect them, and that makes the trial so much harder. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, I'm so sneezy all of a sudden. Thank you. All right, continue what you're saying. My bad.
And going back to it, I've tried to work out so many different ways to handle an AFK killer, and I've had a lot of time to do it. I've hosted for like 5 or so years, hosting like every Saturday. Trust me, if there were alternates, I would have figured one out by now. Because we've tried like, oh, Shadow killed Crow, Shadow's got an actual emergency. Hey Crow, go pretend to be alive by continuing to play until Shadow gets back, and then Shadow will kill you again. And then while Shadow's gone, Moth kills Crow, and I have a whole nother problem to deal with. We've tried a bunch of different solutions, and emergencies aren't something you could just predict, like, oh, I'm not gonna kill Risky because I know my dog's about to run outside.
Yeah.
In most situations, it's easier for me as a host to just either, one, reverse the kill. If you're having a genuine emergency, I'll be like, okay, we'll just revive Crow. I know you killed him, I know it sucks, but you have a genuine emergency, and I can't hold up the game because it'll cause so many problems for me to do this one thing than to just revive them and move on. And 2, if you're a genuine bullshitter, like, let's pick on someone else, Moth. Let's say Moth kills and constantly goes AFK. I'm gonna get sick of Moth's shit to the point where, oh, Moth, this is the 3rd time this game you've killed someone and then said, oh, I need to go help my refrigerator with my microwave, or some bullshit excuse that's been brought up for the 30th time. At that point, I'm just gonna say, okay, everyone, Moth is dead.
I'd also kind of like to add to that as well, with some of you probably either live with roommates or live with your parents, or you don't live alone. And there are going to be times where, especially with the parents situation, or with roommates that don't know anything about VR or don't know anything about games in general, they may keep coming in and asking you to do something. And I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. It's really hard. Every parent is different. There are parents. I have a grandparent who, when I tell her I have plans, that's when she wants to do things. So I have to actually actively not tell her my plans and then just tell her I'm working or I'm busy at the time for her to go away. But if you have a situation where you find yourself where somebody in your home is constantly trying to pull you away during games, if you can, try having a conversation with them saying, hey, listen, I have this thing planned from 6 to 9 or however long it's going to be. I'm going to be busy. If you need me, it's not going to be immediate. So is there anything I need to do now beforehand, or is there anything that can be done afterwards? Have a communication, have a conversation with them if you have an issue with that, because I have had people in the past where they have had to go AFK multiple times because their mom would come in, and they would come in and be like, oh, you need to go do this, 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 because it's getting into the end of the day, and so now she's like, I have all these things I want you to do, and that might not be the fault of the parent. If you have chores or responsibilities that you need to take care of and you didn't take care of them before the game, it's not going to be their fault that if they told you ahead of time about those responsibilities. So try to get your shit done before the game, so then you don't have to worry about getting pulled away every 5 seconds and then ending up getting killed, and now you're double frustrated because you were looking forward to this game, and then your mom kept coming in and telling you to do the dishes, clean your room, do the laundry, etc., and now you've been killed from the game, and maybe it got worse. Maybe you got off and you still haven't done the shit that you're supposed to do because you yelled at your mom and said, no, Mom, I'm busy committing murder, and then your mom took away your VR. It's a lose-lose-lose situation. Plan your time accordingly. Like, we hosts work hard, and other, hosts work hard to make the games enjoyable for you, and the other players want to have a great time, and if you're constantly having to go AFK, maybe that's just not the night for you. Maybe just spectate. Maybe just help out. Figure out a way for you to fit in. And an important thing to know is, I keep saying help out. Not every host is going to be okay with you helping out. I am not comfortable. Insane had a whole little project thing that he did where people could help him out, but you had to work for it. Some hosts will not be okay with it, which is why I say spectate, because some people allow spectators in their games. As we get more optimized worlds and more unique worlds, we have, like, with easier ways to spectate, it'll be easier to allow people to spectate. But until then, some games may not be spectated friendly, like my role-playing games, for example. No, what's up?
Okay, I won't say anything then. No, I was gonna say, I asked if I could say something, she said no. But if you know you gotta like leave early or something too, you can also play aggressively. If you're like, okay, I gotta leave early, I've never murdered before, let's try it. Let's be a bit more aggressive, or let's try to be more manipulative, or fuck it, let's just run out in the middle of the night and see if I can get myself killed early. Because, as I said earlier, the goal of the game is to die, basically. You gotta get to the end of the game. A number of people have to die. But if you want to play but you know you can't be around too long, you can be one of those people that dies early. Be the first one to die. Take the Bernard role for a game. It makes the game better for everybody else, too.
I have
being honest, some of the funniest deaths I've been a part of have been the first or second deaths of the game. They're hilarious.
Because they're fresh.
Shit just happens. Yeah, it's just something happens and it's funny and it's crude or something. It's fun. The fun of the game isn't standing around being bored at the end of the game because there's 3 people left and you're waiting for one person to die. The fun of the game is when you're running around at night trying to sneak around and run up and killing somebody, and then it doesn't work. Or it does, and it's hilarious every time.
I have an additional note to tag on to Pips there. The playing Prey in the beginning, playing to be the first one to die if you know you're going to have a shorter night, I wholeheartedly agree with. Playing aggressive, though, I'd wait until you're much more experienced with not just the game, but the people who are in that game. Because in some cases, you can screw over the host by playing too aggressive early on and then having to leave later. Such as, we did have a game where Pip was planning on leaving early. It wasn't exactly Pip, I'm just using Pip as a example again. And let's say we had just this lobby in front of us. And out of this lobby, we have active killers, meaning people who I know will play and kill in this game. We have Intuos, Moth, Crow, Shadow, and Nebula. Those are the people who I know will be active killers in the game. Pip, however, playing aggressively, just trying to get the ball rolling for the night, ends up killing 3 out of 5 of those killers. Meaning we now have only 2 killers left, and we have the majority of the lobby as non-killers, meaning people who just won't do anything except, oh, wait until the trial and then vote someone out. you can soft lock a game like that. So I'd wait until you have proper experience in knowing, okay, am I going to be screwing this game over by just picking my targets and then having to go later? I'd say
Counter, but
playing
also
Prey is
agreeing.
safer.
You can talk to the host. Like there have been a couple of times where I walked up at Insane and be like, I went out early, give me an aggressive roll. And he'll be like, okay, cool. He gives me an aggressive roll, and if he's feeling spicy and he doesn't, like, somebody in the game is a known problem, he'd be like, hey, if you can kill this person, let's do that. I'll be like, Roger, Roger. And I'll run out and do the assignment, because the host knows their players most of the time. So if they're like, this person's going to be a problem today, why don't you take them out early on? That's kind of targeting, kind of not, because you're just, I don't know. I wouldn't say do that every time. It's
Yeah.
the thing of you cannot attack the same person every single game. You're a dickhead if you do. But if you can read the room and be like, this person's going to be a problem this game, I'll go take care of it. But make sure the next 5 or 6 games you play with them, don't kill them. Don't be an asshole. That's the simple thing. If you're thinking that person's going to be an asshole, I'll kill them one time, that's cool. If you do that every single game, you're the asshole.
Yeah. I'd also like to add, while we usually, if we see a problematic player, we just tell them that they can't play anymore. That is another important point to bring up, is that if you are somebody who is constantly being negative Nancy, fighting the host, causing problems, not listening, breaking rules, death avoiding, and you end up in a game like Insane's, that is something that some hosts will do, where they'll be like, I see you, I've seen you've been causing problems, I don't want you in my game. And they could straight up just not allow you in the game, or allow you in the game just for you to be fodder to keep the game going. And is it 100% fair? No. But at the same time, you've made it to that point because you have had many talkings to, and you are still ignoring the basic rules of murder mystery. At the end of the day, you can pick different hosts to go to. There are hosts that I've played with, and we'll talk about this in the future. But there are people that I've played games with, and I absolutely hated their hosting style. Was some of the worst I've ever had, and I won't join them anymore. But on vice versa, there are hosts who will refuse players to sign up. They'll be like, I'm not comfortable with you. Like, an example is if there's a rule, and there's a rule that's been constantly brought up, and you constantly ignore said rule, and they're getting upset because you keep ignoring the rule, they might tell you, hey, sorry, you didn't make it into the signups. Or, hey, we may not be full, but I'm still not letting you play. You not respecting the hosts and the other players could result in you just straight up not being able to play at all. And I think... Ooh, my legs are a little funky. I think that is something that is important for everyone to kind of realize, because at the end of the day, it is just a game, but a lot of hosts and a lot of other players put a lot of time and effort into these games. A lot of world builders put their effort into making these games enjoyable. And if you just spit all over it by just saying, fuck you, I'm going to do whatever I want, you're going to be kicked. Like, that 1 2 hour, maybe like 4 hour game does not completely encompass the entire amount of work that went into murder mystery in general. And disrespecting it means disrespecting the hosts and disrespecting all the other players there. Nobody's going to want to play with you. And that actually brings up to my next point, which is, I muted myself. Host stresses. This is something where, simply put, I'm going to go do something real quick, okay? I need the 4 of you to follow me. You all stay right here. If you're listening to the stream, I need you to mute the stream. If you're in the world, if you're not in the world, you don't have to mute the stream. All right. How this is going to work is pretty simple.
Why don't you mute the stream yourself?
Because I'm lazy.
Good point. Not fair.
All right. How this is going to work. Shadow and Bernard, you both said you're dead at the same time, but you both say you said that you were dead first. Like, you killed the other first. All right? You got your story? Okay. Pip, Insane.
Repeat. Wait, real quick. Repeat.
So
am I killing Shadow or someone else?
No, so, like, you know how in Murder Mystery you both go up and say you're dead at the same time, so you both end up dying?
Yeah.
Pretend that happened, but you said that you said he's dead first, and he says that he said he's dead first. So you guys aren't agreeing to kill each other. You think that you deserve to be the one to be, like, the murderer.
Right.
Oh god, I
Got
put
it.
something in my face. Okay. Vice versa. Insane, you went to kill Pip, and Pip just said no and walked away.
No, you.
Authentic.
Yeah. All right. Everybody got their roll?
With the no you and fucking walked off.
Yeah.
All right, follow me.
I could see you doing that to me as a joke, but only to me.
Great.
All right, we're back, gamers.
Avatar face.
Welcome back.
Okay. For today only, I have a bit of a promotion for all of you. Let me recalibrate real quick, though. For right now, all of you are the hosts for this game. We're playing Murder Mystery. Each one of you is hosting it. We have a bit of a conundrum, though. Shadow Bernard, if you could come and tell us, your hosts, what your issue is.
Yeah, bro, I literally walked up to this guy and kind of did it at the same time, but I clearly did it first, so it's me. I killed him first.
No, I killed him first. I don't know what he's talking
No,
about.
I don't know who he's talking about. I clearly killed him first. Clearly.
What's your ping? I bet your ping is as good as mine. I
Well,
killed
but
you
ping
first.
doesn't matter. I
guaranteed.
killed you first. It doesn't matter. What the heck?
No, I killed you first. Guaranteed.
No, you're clearly
Perfect.
all the way over there. and, Like,
All right. Who killed who first? Who knows? Who was the actual killer?
No way to prove it.
They both killed each other.
Yeah, they both died.
Do you have proof of that?
Oh, they both claim that they killed each other.
Okay.
Well, they stabbed each other at the same time.
Okay. But do you have proof of that? Are you 100% sure if this was a life or death situation, could you say with 100% certainty that they killed each other at the same time?
Nope, but if they not gonna agree on one, either they both die or they both live.
Okay. Cool. You two can go back. Pip, Insane, if you two could come up. Situation number 2.
Alright, listen up, Mr., Mrs., or whatever host. I walked up to this man, I dropped a weapon at him, said you're dead. He said no, and then walked away.
Well, like, look, he was like 8 feet away, and he was holding a knife. He wouldn't have hit me from over there. It's bullshit.
I walked
because,
straight
like,
up to you and dropped
no,
it right there. You're
no,
blind,
you walked
dude.
up there, and I'm over here. It doesn't correlate. You know, you're just being.
No,
you're just
I was
being extra.
right up here. I was right up
Yeah,
here. You're the one who
yeah,
said
and you know
no,
what?
and then just walked straight away.
Yeah,
All right.
and mom's a hoe.
Okay. Well, you know what? Don't do that. Don't do that part. Don't do that part. But all right. Who knows what happened? Can anybody tell me with 100% certainty that they know what happened? Yes.
I will say this situation is a classic.
Insane walked up
classic
to Pip with a
situation.
weapon, but due to latency, Pip was probably farther away than Insane actually saw him as.
Okay. So what would be the fair call to make in this situation? Do you think?
Is Pip
Pip dies.
Pip dies.
Okay.
Is Pip a repeat offender?
Let's say you don't know that. And that is the point of this next segment is host stresses. As a host, you are supposed to know your players, but that doesn't mean that you're always going to know your players, especially if you end up having a fight between either two people who aren't truth tellers or maybe two people who are always telling the truth that you trust. In a fight between Pip and Insane, I realistically, it probably wouldn't happen because they deal with it on their own. But if that happened, I would have a very hard time believing who was telling the truth because I wasn't there. And I need you all to put that in your perspective because you were not, or even though you were there, the host was not there. If you do not have a witness, it's not going to be that helpful. The host is still going to have to get a guess based off biases, based off how well they know the person, based off a lot of different things. And even if you had a witness, let's say this situation happened with Intuos and Risky, and Muffin said that they witnessed it and takes Intuos' side. I am inclined to believe that Muffin, even though, example, Muffin could be lying about that. Because Muffin has a connection with Intuos and obviously wants Intuos to live. So even if you do have a witness, sometimes that causes a bit of problems as well, and it may seem unfair, but it could be survivor bias. Actually, I do want Shadow to talk about this a little bit without naming any names, because Shadow himself has witnessed people being unfair because of favoritism bias in-game. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I had a time many years ago now where I came up to someone, dropped a weapon, told them that they were dead, and they walked away. I came up to confront them. I was like, hello, I murdered you. And they said, no, you didn't. I said, fine, let me make this more obvious. I took the weapon again, held it with them standing near me, and dropped it and said, you're dead. And said, no, I'm not, and walked away.
And it's frustrating.
Explain more of that.
That wasn't the story I was talking about, but that one works too. I was talking about specifically a story about how a host was dating someone and they were purposely giving false information.
You did give me information.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about favoritism, where there will be times where somebody that you may trust end up actually choosing somebody else's survival and safety over the integrity of the game. And so as a host, you guys need to understand that sometimes we are going to have to choose what we think is absolutely the best possible outcome. Because realistically, you won't know everything that's going on as a host or as a player. And you can only base it off of he said, she said situations. And with the Bernard and Shadow situation, you were right. The scenario was that they killed each other at the same time, but they don't think they killed each other at the same time. And so the fair option would be to either kill them both or cancel the kill. Meanwhile, with Pip and Insane, they had a fight because Insane says that he went up and Pip said that he didn't go up. And as Moth asked, is it a repeat offense? Is this something that's happened once, twice, 3 times? Is this the first time? If it's the first time, I usually be like, hey, listen, it may have been latency. Be more careful next time, Pip, okay? And he'll be like, okay, and Insane might not be a little happy about it. However, I would usually also tack on the rule that Pip is not allowed to tell people that Insane tried to kill him, just to make it fair. Attempted murder in general, I allow people to talk about, but if a situation like that comes across, I'd say, hey, Pip, just to make it fair for both of you, you cannot say that Insane tried to kill you. And then if he's already told people, I'm just going to strike it from the record if they try to bring it up as a valid point. Otherwise, it's just, we move on from it. And if Insane kills Pip later, well, yeah, that happens. But that's just kind of the...
Before we move on to your next point,
yes.
I got a question.
No.
The story of, the host dating a player and then giving out false information to cover for him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have host abuse scheduled in, our talk today or no?
Not a lot. Not really. Do you have something you want to add about hosts abusing their power?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna just tell y'all right now, you could be in a full lobby full of your friends playing with a host that you haven't seen before. Speak up if you feel like the host is doing something they shouldn't. Either talk to your friends or maybe go around and talk to other murder mystery hosts. Because yes, every host has their own different game, but there's some things that just are flat out not cool among hosts and need to be brought to attention.
Mm-hmm.
Such as, even though me as a murder mystery host, I wasn't really affiliated with anything like Bloodbath or any murder mystery groups in general, I still did
we'll talk about those later.
And see, oh, okay, what's going on in the host zone, what ideas are floating around, how players are, and how other hosts handle things, because sometimes that can give you a solid idea of how to do your own thing. But what really needs to be brought up is when hosts are abusing their power. We need to hear these things, because one of the people who was affiliated, and I wouldn't say it's my group, just my circle that I would hang around with hosts and talk to, one of those people was abusing their power in a disgusting way, such as punishments.
Yes.
Now, punishments from a host, they could either have a designated list to choose from, or like me, I didn't really have a list, just whatever came to mind at the time and what would be funniest was what I went with. This host in particular, though, would punish female players by going, oh, well, your punishment is you have to give me a kiss. It's disgusting, and I'm honestly surprised it wasn't brought to anyone's attention sooner.
Yeah. I'm going to add on to that, actually.
These things.
Yeah. If you have a host where they're doing something and you feel like they're taking advantage of their players, when Dead End comes out, hopefully it'll be a better place for a lot of different hosts, and this will be more relevant. But you need to tell other hosts, you need to tell moderators, you need to tell people who are in charge. I played this game with XYZ, and they made all of the women wear avatars that were just bikini and panties, and that's it. And that was their punishment. And that's fucking creepy. You shouldn't be doing that, especially when the games are 90% all age 13 and up, or 15 and up if you live in Florida. It's not fair for a host, just because they're hosting, to feel like they are fully in charge. And if you go to a game with a new host and you feel like what they're doing is wrong, I would personally just advise fucking tap out. I will say there was one game, it was a bloodbath game, where I joined with me and my two friends. And, it was me, a cute little girl, and my two friends, men. And so the host comes over, we say, hey, we just randomly joined, we didn't sign up, is it okay? We saw that you guys had openings. They said, yeah, come on in. And then their friends joined. 2 of their friends, to be precise. And so now, all of a sudden, they didn't have enough space, because even though those friends didn't sign up and we were there first, they kicked us out to let their friends play. And by us, I mean my 2 male friends. I still got to play. And that is still one of my favorite games, not because it was fun, but because I was so mad at what happened and how unfair it was. My brain went into big brain time, and within the first 30 minutes, I figured out who the mastermind was and blew us all up, and they couldn't continue the game because the mastermind, in those rules, if you find the mastermind out ahead of time, the game's immediately over. So, yeah, don't fuck around. If you see a host fucking around, don't sabotage their games purposely. I just, I played the game normally. I wasn't causing any problems. I just figured it out because he lied and he was stupid and he got really mad. But I don't give a shit because that's how you play the game. I was smarter. I figured out because he lied about his role and then he made up a new role. So I realized that he was the mastermind. I tied him up. I looked at everyone, picked up the bomb, and said, if I'm the only one dead, he's the mastermind. Was the only one dead because the mastermind couldn't die in those games. So everyone knew it was him because he had already announced his role, and the host has announced his role twice, and they were 2 different times. So just speak up. But if you are in a situation, huh? Was it?
Just sounds like they were playing. Also, I think you muted.
Oh fuck, I was. Yeah, no, they were pretty fucking they were pretty fucking wild. They never forgave me though. The person who was the mastermind was a host, and they were not very nice. But that's besides the point. If you're in a game and you see that the host has obvious favorites, and you're the you know that they aren't supposed to be having favorites like that. Unless you're in a position of power, so let's say we got a new host. Let's say Inver became a host for Murder Mystery. And Inver was very clearly showing favoritism to other players and letting them get away with shit. Intuos is a host in our server. If Intuos was there and noticed the favoritism, I would be okay of him calling it out, being like, that is not how you play. What the fuck is wrong with you? However, other people, I wouldn't be like a big fan of, going, because, it's not really a good call to make unless you've been in that position or unless you know what's going on in the back end. If Intuos, Nebula, Crow, if any of them saw something and they could very clearly see it was favoritism, they could bring it up. Or I would recommend just leaving the game and then telling whoever's in charge. So you could tell me, you could tell, them, say, hey, this person played a game. Huh?
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah. But yeah, that's just.
I could run to that bathroom first. Let's keep it going.
That's funny. You could do that now. That's just something that I kind of wanted to bring up because Insane makes a great point. There are hosts who will take advantage of you and be really fucking gross. There are also just hosts who they're not taking advantage, but they may just be bad hosts. That actual game that he's talking about, the host, I tried joining one of his games because I was curious, and he is the worst host I've ever played with because, one, we took 2 hours to start the game. And I mean, we went in, we had our roles ahead of time. I took a nap. I woke up 2 hours later, the game hadn't started yet. You should be.
If we actually went into details about this host, me and Moon could talk shit about him. We could fill up the entire segment with just talking shit.
Yeah, no. He is fucking ridiculous.
Facts, but it'd still be talking shit.
Well, the thing I want to bring up is the fact that a host should be in control of their players to an extent, and a host should know when a player doesn't know what's going on. As you've all been playing Murder Mystery, so you all have a rough idea what's going on. If you see a new player, don't fucking go right after them with the gun. Don't go and kill them immediately. We want more people to play so they have fun. Like, I'm sorry, it's going to sound a little like a rigging the game. Keep the new people alive as long as you can. So they're like, wow, that was so much fun. It is. I always give new players the best surviving roles because I want them to live till the end so they have fun with it. That's the best part, is like they'll have so much fun, they'll come back for more, and then you fuck them over. Don't actually do that. But the thing that I want to mention is that game that I played. I've played a lot of Murder Mystery, but this is my first game that I played of his. He had all of these weird roles, and they had a lot of secret rules, and like the thing that he did was his roles had like balancing. So if you had role A, role B countered that, but role C countered B, and role D countered C, and role E countered A, C, and D, and it was really confusing. But he told me that my role, the simplest thing was I couldn't die. If somebody tried to kill me, they could not kill me if they tried to use a specific weapon. Guy comes over, I ask him specifically, I probably still have the messages, do I just say no, or do I take the death and then get revived? And he said, you tell them, no, your role allows it, and walk away. So what happened? Somebody killed me with that role, or with that item. I said, I can't be killed with that item. No, bye-bye. And then I got in trouble because it turns out that their role overrided my role. But I wasn't told that. And I said, why didn't you tell me that? And he was like, well, it's not my fault that you were death avoiding. I left the game right then and there. I immediately was like, nope, okay, well then consider me dead. And never played another game. But, let's see. Okay, this is an important one. Anger management. This one we're going to kind of gloss over real quick. Or no, hold on, not anger management. We're going to do that later. Survivor role, I'm going to quickly cover that. The survivor role is what they're talking about being trusted. If you are trusted, if I trust that you are able to handle your own game, you get the survivor role. Survivor role allows you to play the mastermind more often, gets you special roles that are under the construction. You have more credibility. If you are the survivor in the game, you have credibility for hosts. You don't just get it right away. You don't get it from being funny. Like, you have to earn it, and you can lose it. And I haven't been giving the survivor role out as of late because, one, I haven't been around for Murder Mystery, but I've told my hosts that if they see somebody that they think fits the role rule, they can tell me. And two, because a lot of people as of late haven't shown those signs of being good survivors. Like, I don't know, Moth would be someone I'd consider a survivor that maybe doesn't have the role. Because, you know, he's been around long enough. He knows that if he acts up, people just fucking beat the shit out of him. Get the light.
I didn't know we were supposed to come tell you about people that are added.
Oh, my bad. I mentioned it, but maybe... Alright. Okay.
Communication.
You're first. Yeah.
Wait, what am I first for?
Death. Alright, now we're talking about the last thing on the list, which is anger management. Anybody want to say anything about anger management?
Yes.
Okay.
The wrong way to practice anger. The wrong way to practice anger. Let's say the game's not been going your way. Let's say every kill you've tried to do has fallen through. Let's say you try to use your role, but you used it incorrectly, and you feel like you got fucked over because now you outed your role. The wrong way of anger management. Moon, I can't believe you'd host this way. You're a shitty host. I'm never gonna be playing in your game. Right in front of all these people, causing a huge fucking scene. Another wrong way of anger management. Sitting over here and being like, God, I can't believe how shitty this game is, guys. I was trying to do this and this and that, but Moon doesn't even fucking do anything about it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I tried to kill you 3 times, and you've already just been walking away, blah, 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 blah. Oh. All wrong ways. Correct way for anger management. Hey, Moon, I'm getting a little heated right now. Can I go AFK for a bit so I can just take my headset off and, like, go calm down or anything?
Yeah.
Or do I just have to leave the game to do that?
You can go ahead to the AFK zone. Is there anything in game that's been bothering you that you need to talk to me or a host about?
I can bring that up later as it's not too important to the game right now.
Okay.
So you could, just focus on the game.
Okay.
Yeah, I could talk about it to you later.
Cool.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you heard that.
Oh my god.
But yeah. Before, I think Pip wants to say something as well, but before he says that, I want to just bring up the important points of anger management. These things that are not okay. Taking kills personally targeting, antagonizing other players, getting bored in death, which means, are like talking when you're dead, dealing with the pressure of being targeted, and dealing with betrayal. Dealing with betrayal and targeting is maybe you have a role like detective. Detective is always going to get targeted because if you're a killer, you want to get rid of those roles that give them extra hints. It's a double-edged sword. It's an unfortunate edged sword, and that's why the survivors who are not planning on killing, they need to try and keep the detective alive. Vice versa, the people who are trying to kill need to kill the detective. Kill the detective. If you feel like you can't handle that pressure of knowing that you're a high-value target, you need to either ask for a role that is not high value, or, once again, maybe not consider playing this game. Vice versa, with the betrayal thing, Pip and Insane are very close friends. They're roommates, for God's sakes. They live together now, in person. They could hold hands right now if they wanted to.
Go do it.
Oh, don't hold hands. Okay. Anything with that? Oh my god, he's gonna do it. Insane's going.
The point I'm trying to make is that Insane would still... Oh.
That's so good.
Smacked you with that.
Also, I have something similar to bring up afterwards.
Okay. But still, they're really, really close friends, but they would not hesitate to fucking nuke each other. And I will be 100% honest, that is something that I'm not very great at. I know my weaknesses. Being aware of your weaknesses doesn't mean that you can, you have to get rid of them. You just need to manage them. If I get killed by someone, if Shadow came over and killed me, I'd be sad. I'd be like, I thought we had something special. What? Why you kill me? Excuse me? But I wouldn't actively take it out of the game and hold it against him. I would just be a little sad. There was a time where somebody said they only kill people that they don't like, and then they killed me. And I low-key, it was early on in the game, I cried. I was really, really sad. And then I told them about it, and they were like, no, you were just a good target because you got a punishment, and you had to stay in this room as your punishment, so it was really easy to kill you off. And I was like, you fucking said that you only killed people you disliked. You gotta learn how to deal with it. Pip, you wanted to add something?
Well, this is a good point to bring up. The main thing I think helps with murder mystery in general, and I said it earlier, it's a game. It's one game. If you find yourself getting heated and you can't control yourself, leave. If you can't take a death and not take it personally, maybe you shouldn't be playing. Because the thing is again, the goal is to die. So if you're gonna get killed by somebody and immediately like, fuck that person, that is the wrong mentality. You need to get into the mindset of, no matter what happens in this game, I will not hold on to this. Even if that person blows up and screams about my mother being this and that and that and this, insulting me in every way possible, it's a game. Next time I see him, I'm going to be like, hey, how you doing, man? Because that's the point. It's an act. And if you're going to try to hold on to any of that stuff, you really got to try not to. That's the best way I can put it, because it will help so much with you being able to have fun with people, get a little play heated, because being heated isn't an inherently bad thing. It's when you take it too far. If you want to be like, yeah, fuck you, buddy, that's funny. But if you're going to be like, fuck you, that's where it gets a little too real.
And at that point, you should go to a host. And you need to tell them, yo, this person's taking it too personally. I'm stepping back, from the conversation.
Exactly. And if you're getting too heated, I'm not a perfect man. I have anger issues. There have been plenty of times where I died, and I'm just done with it because nobody's being smart. They're being stupid. They're not listening to the clues. They're not listening to that, And at a certain point, I want to say something so bad. So I'll just look at the host and be like, hey, man, I got to go. And I'll leave. If I can feel myself going to break one of those rules because it's pissing me off, leave. Throw off your headset. Go do something else. Read a book. Play another game. Go shoot somebody in COD. Get some anger out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Because a game will happen next week, or a game will happen next month, and you try again. Do better.
On
Look at your
Pip's note-
weaknesses. Acknowledge them.
Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you go.
On
I'll ramble.
Pip's note of that, it's a game. It truly is just a game. All of it's make-believe. Have fun with it. That's what your goal is, to be there. This voice, it's a game. None of it matters. Not one bit. It's fun to do the voices, you know, and pretend like something you're not. But at the end of the day, it's a game.
Yeah, you can put on your silly accent and be like, "Howdy, everybody! I'm here to beat Guy Fieri. I'm gonna fucking do silly stuff." And that ain't it. That ain't me. That ain't me at all.
Exactly.
Like, you can allow that to become a part of you, so that you can use that. If you're ever uncomfortable in a social situation, you can fall back on that crutch. It's a useful tool. It's something you can learn to enhance yourself as an individual, and that's good. Sometimes it's fun to put on a mask. Teaches you about yourself.
Boo, it is.
Bernard, did you have something to add?
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I wanted to add. Well, actually, he brought up something as well to that. The whole getting heated thing, right? Because I've been into one of those situations before when you're like
Bernard's been in many of those situations before.
I suppose I have. Yes, I tend to get heated in trials, but I
would
don't
know.
take it the bad way. And I don't take it. It's like you go through that and then you're done, and it's like, whatever. It happens, right? It becomes an issue when you bring it over to the next game,
Yes.
and then you screw up from that, right? Let's just say you were in the game, and then someone did something to you, and you're like, oh, that's made you really angry, and then you come up the next game, and then without hesitation, go straight for that person and then kill them immediately without a second thought in front of everyone.
Yep.
That can be kind of infuriating. Things like that.
That just ruins the game. You're not
That is
doing
ruining the
something
game.
fun. You're ruining the game. You're killing the vibe. The rest of the game is going to be tainted with that nastiness.
Unless you're grrr,
Meditate.
who just does that, and then you learn not to take it personal.
If
Yeah,
you just
that-
kill randomly because it's funny, you can do that. It's a hard line to I would not recommend that until you know how to make it funny.
Yeah.
Also,
That's
another
an
thing
operative
I
thing.
should bring up as well, because there are sometimes certain roles that have to kill particular types of roles.
Mm-hmm.
So then, if there, for example, during a trial, someone's role gets revealed, and then you have to kill them, it would be a good idea to try to not make it too targeted. Even though it's role related, don't just like go immediately to that
Hold on.
person and say,
Here's
"Ah,
the
you're dead."
counterpoint about that. At
Yes.
that point,
It's the
before
host's
the game.
issue. Because the host knows what role they're giving you and what role they're giving another person. They could, if they think, oh, Bernard, I'm gonna give you a killer's role. I know that you and Crow have been having problems and are near a melting point where one wrong thing can make you guys blow up. I'm gonna give Crow a detective role and kind of push that issue. So you guys, as soon as you find out Crow has a detective role, you see, in that case, the host has to think about and be like, oh, okay, no. I'm gonna give Crow a killer's role, and then I'm gonna give you just a different type of role, whether it be protective, defensive, or anything of the sort. I'm gonna try to make sure that your two roles don't need to interact with each other if I know you two are having a problem with each other.
Yeah.
The one thing I was kind of referring
not all
to
hosts are
is that
perfect, so they'll sometimes forget that.
if, for example, you die and you have a role that will want to kill a particular role, during that trial, you then find out someone is that type of role, then you get revived. Don't go and immediately kill that person just because. Type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that would feel like you're targeting them because you know they're a bad role and you have to kill them.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I wanna.
That's kind of what I meant. Make it a little bit more subtle.
Mm-hmm. I wanna add two things to this before we move on to the next section. The hair in my mouth. Firstly, is Insane's 100% right that the host is responsible to an extent in picking roles with different people. I've said 100 times, your feelings you cannot control. It's your actions that you can. If I can tell, or, you know, another host can tell that there are issues between two players, fanning that fire is not a good idea. Even if it's people who are, like, okay in general, but they're having issues right now, we're not saying you have to completely kill your feelings to play murder mystery. You can't control how you feel. And if you feel like somebody's targeted you, then it needs to be dealt with in a much more sensitive way. The problem is that the host cannot be responsible for every single micro issue. If Insane knew that Moth and Raven were having issues right now, then Insane should know better than to give them roles where they need to interact with each other. But if Insane was not aware that they had issues, it's not his fault. And if one of you wants to be the bigger person, say, hey, I just want to mention, like, right now we're kind of in a little bit of off patch. Can I get a different role? Or like talk about, like, ahead of time if you're having an issue, or even after the game, say, hey, I'm just going to be a little heated about something. Let me just get my feelings out. Fine. But you can't make the host feel responsible for your feelings 100% of the time. And I want to segue that into an example. There was this girl who I do not like. And I don't like her not because of Murder Mystery, but Murder Mystery was a part of it. Because when I was dating my ex, she would always kill him. He would always die to her. She would target him every single fucking game. And I always knew it was her because she'd kill him every single game. And I would get annoyed because I would wonder, why are you targeting him? And nobody would do anything about it. It pissed me off. It got me really aggravated about the situation. And the entire thing tipped over when I was doing a Monokuma thing for Insane, but I was still a player. And we were trying to do something and everyone was on board besides her. She was the only person in the entire game that was not on board with the plan so that we could fix something that broke in the game. And it was something like, obviously, if people were against it, it's not like the end of the world. But the only reason that she was against it, I felt like, was because it was either me or my ex were there. Shortly after, just a couple minutes later, he is found dead, my partner. And metagaming's not right, but considering it had been months, literally like 6 months, every single game, her killing him, you kind of start noticing a repeat of issues. So I assume that it's probably her. I don't bring up that she kills every single game, but I already have my bias that she was the one that killed. And the hints all also led up to her, because when she found a coin and got the devil's deal with Insane, I realized that all the hints were exact opposite to who she was. So I thought maybe her coin benefit was that she was not going to get, like, pinned for the murder. Like, all the hints were going to be opposite, which is something that happens a lot. You've seen it all the time. And I remember I got so mad at that game. I got so fucking upset because she went out of her way and made this, like, she played the victim and cried and had a big, like, temper tantrum, and we ended up voting somebody else, and they ended up being the killer. So this was the first time that I was actually wrong, and that brought perspective, and it was a good thing that I didn't bring up, she does, because she's killed every game for the past 6 months. That wouldn't have been a fair thing because it's meta. However, later on in that game, she ended up killing me, and she ended up, the points that I was making, used in the trial, and then made everyone feel stupid because they weren't using the points that I made in the first game. And that was the moment that I was like, I am turned off from Murder Mystery. I want nothing to do with it if she's in the game. There are going to be people that you just cannot get along with in Murder Mystery. There is nothing wrong with that, but it is important to know that if you can't get along with them, you have two choices. Don't play with them or play civilly with them. Make sure you don't react. And I got so mad from that game, I just left right afterwards. I was like, I'm not going to play. I'm going to take a break. And after that, I just didn't interact with her during Murder Mystery. What's up, Intuos?
Oh, you can finish that, but I had a comment to add.
Oh, that's pretty much it.
About the topic. I'm just saying this because I notice it from players that I host or play with, is trials. The main part of trials, if you're the killer or you killed someone and trying to get away, is throwing people under the bus, lying and manipulating. Mm-hmm. That is normal part of the trials, and some people take it personally. Some people think that, like, you're attacking them. If you're like, say, I killed Inver and I'm trying to blame it on Nebula, and then Nebula gets insulted. It's like, I wouldn't do that and stuff. Some people take things too personally, but people have to understand that lying and stuff is a part of the game.
Yeah.
They're not throwing you under the bus because they have something against you. Maybe you were the easiest one to throw under the bus since you didn't have an alibi or your role is suspicious.
I want to add,
strategic, it's not targeted.
Before you add something, Yeah, I want to add with that, because Pip and Insane will agree, there's a saying that we say. Do not say they never kill. They don't kill.
Yeah.
Because people will kill if they have the right motivation. They will get away, they will do it, and they will try to get away with it if it lines up. Don't assume that people are automatically not on the chopping block, because that was what got me succeeding my first kill. My very first kill was a double kill, and I threw Good Guy Pie under the bus. That was our first meeting, and I played the card of, well, I don't really, like, I enjoy playing, like, I enjoy figuring out the murders. I'm not really good at killing it. Like, it stresses me out. I don't even know if I could do it. Like, you guys saw me, right? You guys trust me. And they were like, yeah, no, she's really sweet, and she's really kind. She'd never do that. She'd never kill. So it has to be you, because it was between the two of us. And he sat there and was like, but that's not an actual defense. Her defense was that she just didn't do it. I got away with both murders.
Yeah, I've actually practiced that they will never kill theory with all the years that I've been hosting. Every single person who's played one of my games, I've managed to make them kill at least once. So there is no such they will never kill.
All right, Pip, what'd you guys say?
One person that was like that for the longest time, and then it was always surprising.
Your story of that person that it was very similar to the first while I knew Dar.
Ooh, yeah.
Dar knew as a player that came into the murder mystery game.
Oh my god.
Every single game, he'd kill first, second, third, fourth. He'd just murder happy. And the problem with that is where, like, I sit, because I've been murder happy, but you can't keep playing that way, because I did to Dar kind of what Moon was complaining about. I said, Dar, it's you. You're the murderer. And he goes, why are you saying that I'm the murderer? And I said, you kill every single game. I've seen you kill every single game. It's you. And I was right. Every fucking game he played from then on, it was first kill, Dar, easy vote. And the point is, change your gameplay. If you're getting stuck in a rut of you're always the first killer, or you're always doing this, or you're always doing that, it becomes easy to read you, and you're gonna lose the fucking game.
Yeah.
Don't keep doing the same thing. But the point I was going to say relates to that is Dar and I are actually good friends now. But when this started, Dar fucking hated me. Because I fucking went straight up to his face and I said, you're playing stupid. You're making this too easy to just death avoid, because I wasn't death avoiding, but I was playing around how he wanted to kill me. Because I knew he wanted to kill me, so I'd just be around people. And that would annoy him. And then you can just fuck with people when you know they're doing that. So don't be the person getting fucked with.
Yeah.
Don't allow that to happen to you, because it's easy to get along with people if you just take a step back, see from their perspective, and be like, okay, let's work with it. Obviously,
hi, Dar.
There's always shitters.
When one kills too much, and then there's always targeted for getting voted. Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up real quick before we switch comments. Never hated you, Pip. We just weren't close enough to be comfortable yet, is what Dar says. Bernard is a great example for this, because a lot of trials, what would happen when people would get metagamey, and it'd be like, oh, first game, it was probably Bernard. And then if the hint even slightly, like, oh, the killer had black on their clothing. Everyone here, besides me, has black on their clothing, I think. And Risky as well. Risky has a black choker. But,
Moody's not even wearing clothing, but that's a whole nother problem itself.
But everyone would immediately be like, oh, well, it's the first kill of the day. Bernard's always really quick at getting the kill. And then Bernard would go, oh my God, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. And then would have to give his alibi. But people would already have those biases, because that's just something that happened. And is it 100% fair? No, but my ankle hurts.
People are people.
Ooh.
Moon, I do want to backtrack just a little bit. To avoid players like that one girl that you really, really hate and despise. Not naming any names. But one thing that this girl would do in games that always irked me, but at the time I didn't know how to approach the situation, and it's not just her in particular, we've had a number of players who've done this, that I really started hammering down on after this point. Waterworks in games where
let's say I was getting accused of being the killer by Bernard, by Pip, by whoever, and I feel like everyone's against me now. The whole tantrum, boo-hoo, waterworks, you guys are always accusing me because blah 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 blah. You guys just think it's me because of that, and then you guilt trip the entire party, and everyone's just like, okay, fine, we don't want to deal with you having a fucking meltdown. We'll vote Risky instead. Then Risky gets killed, the trial passes, you guys got the wrong person. Who was it? It was me. And then me has the nerve to go, tee-hee, idiots, you guys voted for the wrong fucking person. Don't do that shit.
I want to slit throats.
You have no idea how fast.
Yeah.
So, I was bringing this up early on the list of murder mystery. We have a black list of no play, and then we have a gray list, which was the cannon fodder list earlier. That is the fastest way to work yourself on the gray list if you're a problematic player who does that. Because no one wants to deal with getting guilt tripped over a game.
Exactly. That's
as Intro said earlier, lying and manipulating are key elements in the game, but there are such things as taking those way too far.
if you yeah, that's the big thing, is if you make it personal, that is when you are in the wrong. That is when you are 400% in the wrong, because now you are making people feel like they are a bad person and they don't feel comfortable. If I know that Intuos is going to break down if I kill him, I don't want to kill him anymore. And now he's been negatively reinforced to get away with that bad behavior. He knows if I throw the temper tantrum, I can get away with not being killed. And that's not fair. We are all victims in murder mystery. Any of us could die at any point, and that's the purpose of the game. You do not get special treatment because of your feelings. Like I said, there's this girl, and I absolutely despise her. And it's more than just murder mystery, but how she treated people in murder mystery and constantly brought IRL things involved, and we are about to get into it, into stories like that. How she brought IRL issues into games, made the games not fun, and made me not want to have anything to do with her. I would just rather get her killed and get her over with. And if you are a person who tries to use feelings as a way to get away, well, unfortunately, you're going to end up being on the master list #1 of the bigger players who don't give a shit about your feelings. And they aren't in the wrong for wanting to play the damn game. And that brings us to the second part of the event, which is, I'm going to do the Q&A. Well, yeah, kind of Q&A. So I have the questions that all of you asked, and I'm going to just answer the ones that are me specific, and then I'm going to ask all of you, and you can choose to answer or choose not to answer if you don't have anything to say. All right, so the first one is, I don't fully understand punishments and the different type of rules. In my game, we have hard rules and soft rules. Hard rules are rules that will break the game if you break. These are things like respawning if somebody tries to kill you, lying in the game, going into areas like the mod room, touching mod buttons, death avoiding. These are rules that when you break, destroy the game. They make the game not fun for anyone. Once again, murder mystery is heavily based on trust, and if you break that trust, I have to break your neck. I'm sorry. Soft rules are rules that are meant to be broken. Sneaking out at night, going into areas that aren't allowed, such as like the jail cells in the prison world, where those aren't mod rooms. You won't actually break anything by going in there. We're expecting you to go in there. Holding weapons. Most hosts don't allow you to hold weapons in games, so that is a soft rule. If you didn't break that, you couldn't murder. These are rules that are meant to be broken. Punishments are, and vice versa, the response to what rule is broken. If you break a hard rule, your punishment is most likely a warning, and then a kick, and then a ban. In that order. You'll get warned, you do it again, you get kicked, you do it again in a future game, you get banned. We have no patience for people breaking hard rules. The soft rules are rules that are, like, those punishments are minor or major. There are small punishments that could be something as simple of you have to crouch walk everywhere, so you walk slower. But major punishment may be you have to prone walk everywhere. The more you break rules, the bigger punishments you get, but usually it's not a hard rule, it's not a bad thing. You're meant to break the rules, but you're going to get punished more the more you get caught. So it's a balance. It's a game of like tug of war. Another question was that if there are kill cooldowns. And the answer for that is no. There are not kill cooldowns, there are kill limits for most hosts. If you kill someone at 6:05 and somebody kills someone at 6:06, realistically, you're not looking at the time after you kill someone. Nobody will really know what the time is regarding whatever happened. So instead, there's usually kill limits. Like each trial can only have 2 bodies. So the first 2 that are found are the ones that are brought up. Or each person can only kill 3 people per game. Stuff like that. Another one was, how do you know what type of role you have? You can, if you get your role, check the role reference sheet. We have it there. It's easily accessible in the Murder Mystery tab. You can read all the information there. If you still don't understand, ask the host, ask the co-host. Let them explain it to you if you don't know what you're meant to do. Your role is there for a reason. You need to use it. And those were the 3 that are really like Converse related. But now I'm going to ask you guys. Get this fucking menu out of my face. Thank you. There we go. Question 1. What happens when 2 people who have a weapon stand off and kill each other at the same time?
We've actually addressed this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So just like open shut case of they either kill each other or they walk away.
Yep.
Honestly,
depends on the players.
It should be down to the people, the 2 murderers.
Yep.
Because there have been plenty of times where I'll go to murder somebody and they'll murder me and I'll be like, you got me, I'll take it, and stuff like that. It's up to the players.
Yeah.
First, it's to the players. And if those 2 can't agree, it's to the host, which means you're both dead.
Yeah.
So it's in your benefit.
I've also had the opposite. If we're at a disagreement, I sometimes just say, hey, you know what, how about we just like go off separate ways and just nothing ever happened and we're like, yeah, sure, whatever, and just walk off.
Yeah.
Right? And nothing happens.
If I was the host and 2 people were arguing that, I'd kill them both. I wouldn't ever give a situation where like, let's just dissolve this. I'd be like, now you're both dead. But yeah, if the players at that moment, nobody's around, it's you 2, you can talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a role-playing game. So if you're questioning things or you're like, talk to the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, or whatever you're killing.
Communication is your best friend.
Exactly.
I would say save it for the quiet room though, because there have been cases where 2 people kill each other out in the open, and then one intends to stick through with it, and the other one's just like, well, what do you want to do? We both kill each other here. Meanwhile, there are other people walking around out of sight who are hearing this going on, so that it makes it so, well, shit, even though I'm dead, I still wanted to get away with a kill because it could have been a task, either mastermind task, it was a challenge for me to get a promotion, it was blah blah blah, but now they've ruined it, so now I'm basically forced to say, let's just both walk away from this.
A good rule of thumb when it comes to you're dead, any situation, if you hear those words with you, shut up, sit down, dead body noises.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you have to talk about something, the host will be talking to you in a minute. Just shut up,
just
sit
hold
down,
it for the
make
quiet
dead
room.
body noises.
Next question. How do I deal with wanting to kill but everybody's grouped up?
You gotta get better, kid. You gotta get better.
That's a skill issue, because Pip, me, and several other players have managed to kill in a room as packed as this and get away with it.
Actually,
issue, next question. I'm kidding.
Can I say one thing I remembered specifically Pip doing at one point? We were literally in a bedroom at night with a bunch of people. He had a weapon.
Like everybody's talking.
Put a shield,
and I just walked
like,
up
hey,
somebody.
your dad dropped it, and then just like, oh, what the heck? How he's dead?
Guys. This question's coming from newer players, not.
No.
You gotta build up to this.
Anyways.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
When in reality, if you want to kill and there's a group, you can do a couple of things. One of the things I'll do is I'll just start running around, grabbing weapons, moving them to places so that they're useful for later. And keep checking in on that group. Being like, are they all together still? Yep, okay, moving around, keep getting shit set up for later.
Hello, Animus, what's up?
If you need to. Other things, get in with the group, start talking to them, see who's on the outside. Wait for, have a weapon nearby. Wait for something to happen on the other side of the map so everybody looks over that way, walk over, go, and then move back over, change your voice, do something. If you, the most satisfying thing in the world is getting away with a kill in the group.
Yeah.
I cannot explain to you how satisfying it is to get away with a kill when you've murdered in a group. It's the
But
most
you see,
satisfying thing in the world.
group problems were also one of the reasons why I allowed even vocal players to use mute ways of killing, because it would make it so much easier to get a kill in a group and get away with it without having to proclaim to everyone,
The
Bernard, you're dead, and then walking away.
The issue with that is only because, once again, this game is very trust-based, and there are people in the game that I feel like would make a big deal if they got killed in a mute way and talk about it and constantly bring it up, and so they wouldn't be able to get away with a mute kill, which is why we don't use mute kills in our game unless somebody is unable to speak, and hopefully will be remedied soon when Worlds come out. Another thing I want to add with it as well is, with groups, if you really want to break people up, go find a co-host or go find a host and say, hey, there's a group over here. Because in general, if it's 4 or more people, the host will come over and scare everybody off, and then they break up, and you can just grab somebody in the coat hangers. That's not the word. Coattails, that's the word. All right.
That's the other thing. If it's too bad, talk to the host. Because the host has got to know. Because if you can't kill, you can't play the game.
Yeah.
So go to the host and be like, hey, these 4 people keep hanging out. And the host will then have to specifically punish those people to be like, okay, if I catch you 2 together, I'm going to kill one. Or something. If that's what it comes down to.
That's a lot of times why you see a co-host is they're there to break up those groups. What's one of their jobs is to move in and be like, scatter, or someone's going to die.
Yeah.
Exactly. The next question is, why doesn't anyone use their roles? Also known as, when is a good time to use my role? Now, I know this one's very specific, and we don't really have time to go into every single role. That'll be a future murder mystery class if we want to do it. But in general, what tips could you give to people for being a bit role conservative?
You mean liberal? To get them to use it.
Well, they're conservative now. You want them to be more liberal with it. Yeah.
A good mindset to have of, oh, when should I use my role? Is, hey, you have a constant ticking timer on your head in a murder mystery game. You could die at any second. Not necessarily the sooner you use it, the better, but you use it when you feel like death is coming closer. It's always good. There are other roles that are investigative types, which should be used as often as possible to get as much information out and to build up a history behind you. Yes, it paints a target on your back, but you are not alone as an investigator. You have a whole team hidden around you that will fight to keep you alive if they know, okay, this is my investigator, I need to keep him alive so that we have a fair shot in trials. As for someone with a more survival-based role, let's say, like a nurse who can revive themselves, you want to be more pick and choosy about it to figure out, like, whose roles are coming out first, because you obviously don't want to be reviving the wrong person. And then self-serving, use it at your own discretion when you feel like it would benefit you most. And then, of course, there are passive roles which get used for you.
One of the things I'd say, if you have a survival role, like, I can't be killed with blunt weapons. Something you could do to use that to your advantage, hang around the areas with the blunt weapons. Like, figure out where the blunt weapons are, put them in an area, so that way if somebody's going to kill you, most of the time they're not going to bring a weapon with them. They're going to find a weapon around where you're at. So hang around the blunt weapons. So then they'll use that blunt weapon and you'll be like, ha, I'm not dead.
Yep. All right. A thing I'd like to add as well when using your roles, always talk to the host or co-host to get more information about your role. You should always be trying to use your role. When you're newer to the game or you're newer to an ability and you don't really know what's going on, it might be best to use it, not as quickly as possible, but on the earlier side, because then you can know how exactly it works for the next time you use it. Or then you become more comfortable with it and you start seeing how other people use it. Once again, the nurse or the detective. Detective is used every single time. The nurse is used when they'll use it on themselves, or they might revive somebody who is an asset to the game. You'll start pointing out and seeing, I see that they're being more, like they're looking around being more conservative with their role. They might have something that can revive. You will be able to start picking out if you start actually using it. So I recommend, just test the waters. It's just a game. You fucking waste it. Whatever. You can use it again next time.
Also, I will add something as well. If you have a helpful role, that doesn't mean that you can't decide to just kill someone if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like the game is going
Well, that
really
depends on
slow,
people's. That depends on the host. Some hosts roll lock like killing.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're that the rules prevents you from doing that. But I mean, like if you're just like the nurse and you can just decide to revive people, that doesn't stop you from just deciding I want to kill the person today, and just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because people might not expect it. You might be the nurse, and then people will be like, "Oh, they're the nurse. They're not gonna kill people. Try to get away with it."
Yeah.
Last thing I'll add. You don't need a roll to win murder mystery.
Yeah.
I've proven this a number of times. So while rolls are important, they help a lot, you don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next
Intuos
question.
has a thing to say.
Oh, what do you guys say,
Hold on.
Intuos?
There's also other ways to use roles. Like if you're a detective, you don't have to be focused on only solving murders. You can kill and use your role to lie.
Exactly.
You can be the nurse, kill someone, and know that you can revive yourself, etc. There's all roles are one-sided.
Kill them and then
or
bring them
purpose.
back.
Traumatize them. Make them fear you so that
Egg.
they are forced into an alliance with you, knowing that you are the only reason they're alive.
The next question is, well, it's more of a statement. Some people are not taking the game seriously, and it upsets me.
I mean,
It depends on how not seriously you mean they're taking it. Because if they're not playing the game like it's supposed to be played, that is a problem. If they're breaking hard rules or they're not respecting the way the game's supposed to be playing, that is a problem, and you should talk to the host. And the host should probably get on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're mad because funny, silly Flavor Man is over here laughing at you because you think you can fool him in trial, but he got you, that's different. If you're just getting outplayed, but they're not taking it seriously like you are, that's something you'll have to work on your own. Meditate on it. Come to terms with the fact that everything isn't always going to go your way. However, if they're not following the way the game's supposed to be played, talk to the host, or maybe don't go to that host's games.
Now, in some cases, it could be entirely on you, such as, let's see, a player that I will choose the name for that some of us here will get, Early for Breakfast. If you're the only person role-playing in a non-RP game and expecting
We're
everyone
gonna
to be
talk
taking it
about
as
that.
serious as you are. You want me to save it then?
Yeah, you can like go over the important thing, but like we're gonna be talking about those specifics after the questionnaires.
Yeah, but if the reason why you feel like no one's taking the game seriously is because you are die-hard role-playing in a non-roleplay game, the problem might just be you, bud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. No, they're right.
I'd say if everybody else is having fun and you're not having fun, you're probably the problem. And that's a shame. It sucks when you realize that. But the thing is realizing it is the first step to overcoming it.
Yeah.
You realize it, and then you have to go and meditate and be like, why am I not enjoying myself while everybody else is? And then if it's that, where it's like, I want a more role-play heavy game, go to a more role-play heavy game. But if it's like, I don't like that they're all talking to that guy and not talking to me, you might have some more social issues you need to work out. There's a lot. It's part of life. Murder mystery is a good analogy for life.
Get fucked. The next question is, let's see. Okay, so this one we've already talked about a little bit, so we don't have to go super into it, but this comment is, playing alone is way better than playing in a group. Do you agree or disagree?
Let's say yes.
Depending on the
You touch that fucking totem one more time, I'm gonna take your hat and eat it.
I can say I am the kind of person
That's
that has
right.
a very large tendency of just roaming the map all of the time, and that is honestly probably a good reason as to why I tend to die first, because I tend to be on my own a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of depends on how you play.
I'd say it depends on how much you really want to like test yourself. Because if you really want to test yourself in murder mystery, playing alone is the go-to. It's see who you can win over, who you could kill and get away with, and all that kind of stuff. However, I will not lie and say some of the best games I've played was with friends, such as the game of Guy Might, Mickey Might, Paula Dean Endeavor, and
Paula Dean the Butter
Grr.
Queen.
Paula Dean the Butter Queen. That was one of the most fun games that me, Moon, Pip, and Gerg just got rounded up into. And we just dominated that game because it was so silly. In our defense, all of us were just like, no, to the host. Your game's already started. It would be unfair to your players if we joined in, especially knowing that all of us are much more experienced than the rest of the players. However, all of us were also little shits that day that had matching avatars of big muscly characters and decided it would be absolutely fucking hilarious if we did do what we said we weren't gonna do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you break rules for entertainment.
I see.
The next question is, so...
Oh, I was gonna say.
Oh, yeah.
It is fun to play by yourself, but I personally think the most challenging but fun thing to do in Murder Mystery is start the game by yourself, form an alliance with a couple people, get a kill off or two with that alliance, and then immediately backstab them and win by killing your alliance.
So...
That's so much fun.
Because
then you can be like, you kill one of your alliance people, and then you can be like, guys, it wasn't the other person in the alliance. They did it. They backstabbed us, and get them killed, and then you win. That's hilarious. It's so much fun.
Dar actually said that they don't work well with others during murder because they're afraid to get backstabbed. So that's also one of the reasons some people might be by themselves versus groups. Both have their perks and their downsides. It's really, what do you think works best for you at the time? The next question, I want one for each of you. So each of you think of your own and bring it up. What is a common mistake that murder mystery players do? Starting with Bernard.
Common mistake. That's a good question.
While you're thinking, I'll just throw mine out here. I think, and this is my own issue, is I think being, well, there's a few, but I'm just gonna say one, and if they say any of the others, great. If they don't, I'll say it at the end. Being too hesitant to do something in the game. I know I said that I plan way far ahead, but it can be a downfall as well, especially if you don't have a lot of killers. If you just kind of like, go up. Let me grab. Oh, I'm so slow. If I went over to Risky and I had the weapon and then I like paused and thought about it and Risky ran off, now Risky could tell people that I was thinking about killing him. I could have killed him, nobody would have seen, and I could have maybe gotten away with it. So being hesitant, you need to understand when and where is a great time. If you are already on the way to kill someone and, there's nobody around and it could be a viable kill, just go through with it. Even if you fail, whatever.
Grow a pair and do it.
Exactly.
Right. Also, I found my thing.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
I'm ready.
Yeah. One of the mistakes that people I think can probably do is don't judge people just on their appearances and how they act.
Okay.
That can be very deceiving. Like, we can be bringing up Dar. I'm pretty sure one of the first few games that he was around, he literally got away with 5 trials in a row before we found out.
Yeah. It was the very first one because
Yeah.
Dar is 1, a mute, 2, small, 3, in a adorable type avatar.
Yeah.
We've had a criteria built up to that point where if someone matched all 3 of those, they were just going to be passive and sit on the back burner of that game and really just watch, not really do much. Maybe they'd participate in trials. However, Dar actively fucking came out swinging and immediately got signed on as my familiar because of that.
Dar also says,
so
connected to that, Dar is saying, don't kill the new people. We talked about that. It's a really silent rule. Fucking just don't do it. If you see somebody new, try to help them get through the game.
It's not really a mistake that new players make, because if a new player kills a new player, that doesn't count.
Yeah, because, well, they don't know. They're all new. And especially if new players in groups usually end up killing each other because they're worried that people are going to get mad that they killed them. So they end up killing their friends. So, just a little fun fact. All right, Insane? You got yours?
All right. Here's a mistake that can be made by certain roles, such as if you have a role that directly helps the mastermind, or let's say you're helping the host or working for the host that game. A common mistake players can make is not asking who the fucking mastermind is and then immediately going out and killing someone, and then when that person is killed, they're immediately dragged just like, oh hey host, look, I killed someone, and then that person that you just killed just so happens to be the mastermind.
I feel like there's a bit of internal issues with that. Shadow, would you like to go while Insane continues to yell at Crow?
I think for new players,
something, communicate with the host.
I think for new players, the thing you need to learn very quickly is, even if your friends are there, I love all these fucks right here. When we're playing murder, and I'm sure we've gone over this, I do not trust them to a T. I know they will murder me. I know what they'll do to me.
I'm over here fucking drooling at it.
Do not trust them.
Fuck's sakes.
Do what?
We were literally working together and I killed you.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't matter. It's a game. The goal of the game is to murder. So, don't trust anyone. Again, I'm not saying, like, outside of the game, but inside of the game, don't trust anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the game, all that gets thrown away afterwards. Like,
everyone is
fair game.
Some of
No fun.
my greatest moments of somewhat manipulation, deceiving line is getting people who just believed. This is just an example. It doesn't have to be a boyfriend-girlfriend thing. It could just be a close relationship thing. But there was a couple in one of my games that they were always alone on them too. So I walked up and was just like, "Oh, hey, look at this knife I found." Drop. Man, that'd be really funny if one of you killed the other, huh?
No.
Well, the guy is just like, oh, me and her are dating. Trust me, we love each other. She'd never kill me. Meanwhile, the girlfriend was just like, that would be kind of funny. You're dead.
Hello, Michael.
So yeah, trust no one, as Shadow was saying.
No one.
Yep.
I got a good one.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to piss people off. In the sense of, don't be afraid of, oh, I don't want to kill them because I might piss them off.
Mm-hmm.
In the game, do not be afraid of hurting people's feelings. But I am a proponent of, you should have some aftercare to a murder mystery. You should talk to people after you've played murder mystery with them. You should try to be like, hey, sorry about the game. Like, nothing personal. I would like to talk to you more, or this or that. Try to get the bad blood out immediately after or shortly after, because it's good to get the badness out.
Mm-hmm.
Because walk up to the person, kill them, it happened, it's in the moment. But after the game, be like, hey man,
why you have to be mad?
Talk to them after, cut your stuff up, because during the game, don't be afraid to piss them off. After the game, talk to them, it will probably be okay. And if they aren't, I'm gonna tell you this one little secret. If they're not cool, they probably weren't cool to begin with, and it's better that you know that at the beginning, because you don't want to be friends with somebody that's not cool.
Mm-hmm. They also will more likely...
They're probably always going to be a dickhead.
They'll probably also end up leaving Murder Mystery after a few games because they won't be able to handle the heat. If somebody does something that's not cool, and you tell them it's not cool, or if you do something and they get offended by it when it's a game thing, it's not breaking any rules, they're going to realize that they can't temper tantrum their way out of it, and they're going to end up leaving. They're going to get pissed and go. We've had, in Insane Asylum, probably at least 50 people who did that. Who would act like little shitters. Huh?
That's being generous,
All right. I was trying to be, I wanted to say 100, but I said 100's a big number. Let's do 50. But there have been people who legitimately do that.
Still being a little generous.
Okay.
There's like 300 people in the server, so yeah, I could.
300 people in the server right now, not counting all those who come
To
and
put
gone because
it
they're
to put it in
exactly this type of
context,
person.
Insane used to host multiple times a day, every day, and they would always have new players. So he had a lot of fucking people at the beginning.
I don't remember that.
I
guess I wasn't there.
Another.
I turned to weekly because people were saying, "Oh, Insane, you're hosting? Okay, no one's gonna be joining me if I'm hosting a day." So I started hosting weekly instead.
Yeah. Another option, another thing that I'd mention is lack of talking in trial until it's too late. I'm sure everyone's had the situation where it's silent and then the host is like 5 minutes left and then everybody starts talking really quickly. You don't need to do that. You can like actually talk and use your time wisely. Don't be fucking around because you're going to find out. And then I said it, no, be hesitant or don't be hesitant. Just don't be afraid to take risks. If it ends up being a bad risk, that's okay. There's future games. Another question. This one's an important one. And I know Pip went to go grab Lavaka and tell him that this is a class. So the question for all of you is, do you think a player needs game awareness to be able to play Murder Mystery? Just try say it in like a very quick answer. I'll give my answer. I'm going to say yes without a doubt. If you are not aware of what's going on around you, you cannot kill properly, you cannot solve the mystery properly. At the very most, you would only need the self-serving ones. You could only use self-serving roles, and that's where it would end. Pip, the question is, and I'm answering it first, do you think that players need self-awareness to play Murder Mystery, or can they play without it? My answer, once again, I say yes. I say 90% of the time you need some kind of game awareness to be able to play the damn game. Or else you're going to have the whole game full of people going, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Right.
I don't know what's going on.
You definitely need to at least pay some amount of attention to your surroundings. Otherwise, you're going to be like absolutely clueless when it comes up. And
Exactly.
It's not gonna go well.
Mm-hmm. Insane.
If you want to be an NPC, you're gonna be a sheep. You're gonna be one of the lambs to the slaughter.
Exactly.
If you're not gonna take a part, if you're not gonna be active, you're not gonna be doing stuff. Bodies, you're just a body to be slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you are. So.
Yeah, you need some sense of game sense or self-awareness because, like, one of the biggest thing in trials is everyone having alibis, so we could puzzle piece together whose alibi doesn't make sense. And if you can never, like, it's a certain thing of, like, if you're early on and, oh, I can't say exactly what I was doing because I'm still too new to this to figure it out. But if you're doing this, like, throughout all of the games you play, you're really just useless, and as Pip summed it up, a lamb to the slaughter. You need to be able to keep track of your surroundings. You need to be able to keep track of yourself.
It does also lead to a weird sort of, like, backwards meta, where if nobody's paying attention, then the only people talking in trials are the detective and the murderer.
Yep.
And I've been in that situation where I don't ever talk in a trial, and then the one time I'm talking in the trial and being active, I was the murderer. Nobody ever called me out on it, but I realized it myself as I was like, shit, the only time I ever participate in trials is when I'm the murderer. That's an easy tell. So you don't want everybody to not be participating, because then it starts leading to this thing where it's like, well, then nobody can participate because then they're the suspicious one.
All right, Shadow, you want to wrap it up?
That's one of the ways you kill Murder Mystery.
Yes, I completely agree that you need to have awareness. Also, from a co-host standpoint, you want a good co-host that if they know when they a good co-host in the very beginning, we're like, all right, who's new here? And then we'll gather them up and take them all and give them a little tour, tell them what's going on, what they need to know, everything along those lines. But yes, you need self-awareness. You need to know at majority of where most people are on the map. You need to know where some of the weapons are. Just pay attention.
Yeah.
It's more fun, too.
That too.
All right. Next question. Once again, just a quick overview. What are some instances of metagaming. Somebody asked what would be considered metagaming. We talked a lot about metagaming, and so we've already covered quite a few. A good one is, as Pip said, being in trial and being active only when you're the murderer. Or, you know, knowing that somebody only kills one person every single game. But there's a lot of other things that can be.
The first person to kill every game.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick and easy way for metagaming knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be super heavy into roleplay to do this. Literally, just treat the game as any knowledge you have not gotten while playing this game is considered meta knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
While you're in game, treat every person as this is the first time they're playing this game, so that you have no other background information to rely on.
Exactly. You got anything to add, Shadow?
I'm not with that.
I think I covered it all, honestly.
Perfect.
I don't think there's too much to add to that.
The way that I typed it, in definition, metagaming is using using outside of the game information, such as if Mothboy laughs more when he's lying. If he starts laughing when giving a defense, that would be considered metagaming if you call it out. Another example could be knowing that two players hate each other, and so when one dies, assuming that the other did it, or if it's a couple, assuming that one partner wouldn't kill the other. This also accounts for things that you may have learned post-death or through your world that isn't allowed to be shared to other players, such as who the mastermind is, who the killer is, etc. Simply put, if it can ruin the game, if it can ruin the game for people by giving the information they aren't meant to have, it's metagaming. And we've got 3 more questions. This one's pretty easy. Does running away make you invincible to murder?
Basically,
No.
yes.
No. What? Okay. Depends on what do you mean by running away.
If you're saying running around the map, skirting against the walls, and constantly jumping and like hiding, like constantly moving, almost.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you incredibly hard to kill, and it makes it no fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's
what if
one of the things I say with Murder Mystery is if you're playing optimally, you're not going to have fun and you're going to contribute to the game going poorly.
Exactly. The
Because
example
the
is
strat is running and jumping and ugh.
Where are they? Are they here? Give me them. Where are they? Give me them. Where are they?
What are you grabbing?
I'm grabbing the bottles that I gave you. Where are they?
Here.
Thank you. I'm saying an example.
Grabbing my chest.
I'm running at you with the weapon right now, and you weren't running before. So what would?
And then I just start.
Grab the other one. Give me that.
Boink. So in general, Pip makes a good point. If you're bouncing around and constantly moving, that's a great way to live, but you're not going to have fun because you're not also going to be killing. You're just going to be fodder. You're literally going to be in the game and having no point in the game. However, if somebody runs at you with a weapon, you can't just back up and go, no, as soon as you see them. In general, all very well-versed players will just take the death because there are more games. And it comes across, as we showed at the beginning, what latency is. They could have killed you, but to you, you may not have been killed. And now you're utilizing latency as a perk that's not really meant to be there. In general, if somebody's coming towards you with a weapon and they're close enough that latency is a concern, take the kill. That means probably, I'd say the furthest away would be probably here. Because murder mystery maps are pretty fucking fast. So if I'm running starting here at you, I think you should just take the kill. Any further than that, I generally would just say, you can try and make a run for it and find a group of people. But also, just don't let your guard down.
The other thing you'll start to realize as a professional murderer, I guess, I start to get that meta game thing where if I notice you're the type of person that once it starts getting towards the end of the game, you're going to start hugging the walls and running around and jumping and making it impossible to kill you. Because a lot of those murder maps you can hide up on the wall and you can't kill them because you can't drop the weapon on them because they're up in the air and they'll be like, oh no, you were too far away. If I notice you're like that, I'll murder you earlier on. I'll find a point where you're not moving and I'll kill you then. You start pointing a target on your back. Whereas if you know me, you'll always to be able to kill me come the end of the game, you're not gonna target me. You're gonna be like, oh no, he's cool. You don't want to paint targets on yourself and make yourself an undesirable person in the game, because then you're gonna get people more angry and agitated and the weird things.
All right. Next question. What do I do if a player has me blocked?
Oh, okay. If a player has you blocked, that is hugely an issue that will mainly have to be dealt with by the host. Because either, one, you yourself can decide, they have me blocked, do I really feel like having to see them knowing that they blocked me? Do I feel like bringing this up to the host and saying, hey, I want to play, but this other person playing has me blocked? Because ultimately the host will have to have a conversation with them and say, hey, you're both players in this game, and if you both want to stay players in this game, you need to unblock them for this game, and then afterwards you can do whatever you want. But for this game to work, you need to unblock, which may result in that person leaving, may not. But do you really want to be in the space where you know someone who actively doesn't like you is existing? That's one of the things you gotta ask if you're playing Murder Mystery.
And I would like to add, because this one really Insane answered pretty much the whole thing perfectly. I'd like to add the fact that if there is issues between two players and we are aware and there's a blocking issue, if there's evidence that they would try to target another player, in general, the rule of thumb is, let's say Moth and Raven have each other blocked. I say you two need to unblock each other. Moth unblocks Raven. Raven doesn't unblock Moth. Moth gets to play. Raven does not. Because if you both don't do what was asked, you don't get the benefit of playing, because you're not respecting the game, and you know that's the basic rule. You have to see each other in Murder Mystery. And if it's somebody who you feel unsafe around, let's say Raven refuses to unblock Moth because Moth doxed her online somewhere, like straight up gave their entire address. Then Raven should come to us, the hosts, and say, listen, I am unsafe with them playing. Here is why. Especially if you have proof to back it up. Most likely, we're not going to let Moth play anymore. And then that issue's resolved itself. If two people have issues with each other in game, and let's say they do unblock each other, and maybe it was they just don't like each other, and Moth starts being toxic and making passive aggressive comments to Raven the entire event, then Moth's going to get kicked. You guys have, if you aren't able to be somewhat cordial with each other in game, then you guys just don't get to play. Is kind of the TLDR there. You gotta be a little bit of an adult when playing Murder Mystery. Hot take. Does anybody have anything else to add?
Hot take. That's like half of what I've been saying this entire fucking time. You gotta be mature and figure yourself out, so that way you can be a proper part of the game.
So, there is something that I actually have to tag on to that. Because some people sit on information that really needs to be brought to immediate attention. Like, if the person who you have blocked in this Murder Mystery game turns out to be a danger to the community, and you know that, you should bring it to the host attention immediately and be like, hey, this is why I blocked them. To put it simply without going into too much detail, there is a reason why I only do 18 plus games.
There are some bad people out there.
Sometimes you can deal with bad people before you get just it just starts wearing
before
on your
it
soul.
starts taxing your mental state.
Yeah.
Like, we can't be the saviors of everybody, but you want to help.
This last question is mainly for Insane.
Who the fuck's targeting me?
It's not you directly, but you're gonna know, and you're gonna know exactly what the answer to this is. Why isn't your games like XYZ? I played their games, and I like, they had this rule and they did that. Why are all hosts differently?
This is how it goes. This is how it fucking goes. Crow, come up, because you know the designated saying that always would happen. Let's say I've just started my game.
I've just started going through my introduction. Hello, I'm Insane Creature, the host you hate the most. If you don't hate me now, you hate me later. If you don't hate me later, I'll make you hate me. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to make sure you all get along. After all, it's much more fun for me to break the bonds that bind you. Now, you guys are expected to follow my rules to the letter, but I may twist, bend, and break my rules in any way I see fit. Any questions? Crow?
Fuck. I don't actually know.
Are you why don't you host like Bloodbath?
That's not how we do it in Bloodbath.
That's not how we do it.
Fantastic question. I am unaffiliated from any Bloodbath servers. I do not fuck with the Bloodbath games. These are my games that I've created on my own, host on my own, and only I host them like this. These are my games. Bloodbath has their games. Treat hosts differently. My games are vastly different from Moon's, whether it be different game modes, different styles, even down to the roles. Now, there may be similarities in between the two, but, like in my case, I make it explicitly clear, I hadn't even gone to play in any other host games, just so all the roles that I had were my own. Any similarities was merely a convenience.
Coincidence?
Moon's games, her own. Yes, thank you.
No problem.
I just get heated with that fucking statement because I heard it so many times.
Well,
so many fucking
okay,
times.
I'm gonna drop that. I'm gonna drop that rant a bit, but that's exactly why I'm kind of bringing it up, is because back in the day, specifically, nothing against the Bloodbath community, but there were a lot of people who would go from A, Bloodbath, to B, Insane's games, and they would constantly, and if you're curious who Bloodbath is, Bloodbath was like the original murder mystery server. They were the biggest murder mystery server before they got shut down. But they had completely different rules. They got shut down, but they made their own like private, like some members made their own private Bloodbath, and you have to be like recommended to join or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, they had a big issue with people going into other people's games and being extremely toxic because they wouldn't listen to hosts because the hosts hosted wrong. And for Dead End, Converse, Insane Asylum, we all have a strong belief in respecting other people's hosting styles. Nebula, Intuos, Crow, they may all come over and ask us, like, hey, how would you deal with this situation? And we may give our 2 cents, but at the end of the day, I don't care how you host Murder Mystery. It's your own ability, your own rules, your own setup. There are like a baseline of ideals that should be followed, but in general, besides those, do what you want. Make changes as you see fit. If you have a suggestion and you want to see if it's a good or bad idea, bounce it off other people. It is incredibly disrespectful, and I bring this up because once Dead End starts going in and like Insane Asylum, if he starts hosting murder mysteries, I do not want to hear people from Converse going to other murder mystery games and being like, well, that's not how Nuance does it. That's not how Nebula does it. It doesn't matter how we do it. That's their game. They host it their way. We need to be respecting everybody's game style. That's about it. Now, there is one last part to this event. However, this last part is not really mandatory, as if it was mandatory at all. If you have something else you need to do, you can go ahead and leave if you'd like. Stream, you're going to still be here with us. However, the final part is I'm going to be kind of mentioning situations that have happened in the Insane Asylum history and talking about the benefits and downsides that happen long-term because of it. If you want more perspective on how situations caused a bigger problem down the line, a snowball effect, stick around. If you are tired and you want to go do something else, this is where all the like hardcore information ends. I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much for showing up. And with that, I am going to start the final section, which is it's called Tea Time, where we're going to be all just low-key talking shit.
Start hosting again just to spite those fuckers who'd always come up. This isn't how we do it in Bloodbath. Fuck you, it's my game. That's gonna be the reason I start hosting again, just because Moon reignited my fucking anger for that shit.
Exactly. If somebody goes up to you, Intuos, and says that's not how Nebula does it, you look them dead in the eye and send them the clip of me saying you respect other people's fucking hosting styles, or Nuance will come down and drag you to hell.
That one word.
You said that,
Nebula.
Rude. Crow
understand human language, going sign language. Like,
and probably Moth. You guys are gonna be part of this one, cause this is all Insane Asylum stuff. So this is just kind of story time if you guys want to hear. Yeah.
Cool kids club.
Back on my day.
Crow.
Silent Crow. You made me fumble the bag.
Do you want to put
No, I don't wanna. Fine, I'll get rid of my forehead.
All right. So the very first story. Oh, Pie's here. Pie can join this too. The very first story I am going to bring up.
Oh my goodness.
You all ready?
Hold on, we're getting Crow in uniform.
Okay.
Getting cropped and ready.
I want you all, I'm going to move out of the way so everyone can see the unfiltered response to the next few words I'm going to say. Hey, Pie, get on up there. We're talking about murder mystery.
Oh God.
Before we do that, though, I have one more important thing to do. Y'all ready?
Fuck up and on.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Thank you all for taking part in Good Guy Pie's birthday party. All right, Pie, just letting you know, we are at the end of the event, so we are talking about murder mystery history with the Insane Asylum. So I'm going to be bringing up certain stories, and those who know can talk about it. The first story, I will say 3 words. Steam gift card.
Steam gift card.
So, before you start, let me give the overview for everyone who's here. TLDR, another member of the Insane Asylum, thought it would be a cute idea to host a murder mystery with a cash prize. The cash prize being a Steam gift card. This game ended up being the worst game ever. Period. The absolute worst game you could ever consider.
The worst of ways.
Everything that went wrong went wrong. And to cover up some options, we had 2 girls fighting to the point where they were both crying, multiple fights breaking out. I think there was some death avoiding. There was nobody left that world happy. Everyone left in some level of upsetness. Nobody was having a good time. And I don't even remember. I don't think anybody won the gift card. All right.
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah. Lock him in a white room. Lock him in there. Like,
We gotta get him angry.
I'm invoicing you for my fucking therapy bill.
All right. Does anybody have anything specific they want to say about the Steam gift card? Specifically, what it did to you?
I wasn't even a part of it, and I still hear the horror story.
Yeah, I've heard about it, and I was not part of it either. Thankfully.
So, let me go ahead and get down into the nitty gritty, and I think it was this era.
This era?
Okay. Am I correct, Moon? I don't think I had 3.0 out yet. I think it
No.
was this one, right?
3.0 was not out yet.
No.
3.0.
Yeah.
Definitely
Oh
wasn't.
my god.
Definitely not.
Oh my god. So, yeah. One of a close friend of mine at the time decided, hey, Insane. You know, wasn't it around Christmas time?
I don't think so.
Sometime past that.
It would make sense, actually.
It was winter season. And they were just like, hey, I have a good idea. I've saved up some money this month, and let's put down I think it was a $10 to $20 Steam gift card for this murder mystery game. Yeah, all this shit happened over $10 to $20.
Wow.
Now,
$20 is $20.
now, I remember the joy in everyone's eyes, the excitement, the thrill when we started.
And I said, okay, everyone, listen, we're gonna be doing things a little differently. It's gonna be murder mystery. It's this mode that I have. It's the same mode that we're all used to, same roles. But there is a special prize this time. This time there's not gonna be a mastermind. Instead, this is kind of a tournament style murder mystery where the survivor at the end will get this gift card thanks to my friend over there, who I will not name. Everyone's eyes are so full of wonder, just like, oh my god, a Christmas miracle, or whatever. Cue 5 hours later down the fucking line, we were down to the last 5 people. 2 of them were problematic girls who were at each other's throats, screaming at each other. I'm over here practically pulling my fucking hairs out, realizing the hell that I've unleashed upon this earth, as these 2 are actively tearing each other down. We have the last 3 people just sitting there traumatized, not sure how to react, still partially invested because money's on the line, but at the same time wondering where their god is. Now, I can't remember which Monokumas I had with me at the time, because quite frankly, this whole thing has been vaulted, and merely just mentioning it sent me into a fucking spiral. Moon, what Monokumas did I have with me?
Me! It was me and Luxfizz, wasn't it?
Insane.
Probably Crow.
No, Crow was a player.
Game of Kuma training.
Yeah.
Oh right, it was Crow's fucking Kuma training. That was Crow's joy in their eyes. That was the first time that they were gonna be a Monokuma. They survived that fucking game and managed. But we had these 2 girls tearing at each other's throats, and then in turn, I don't know why I didn't, just keep it in my memory. Insane. You've been through this when you were in fucking elementary school, when you were wearing that fucking safety patrol skirt and shirt at your school. You saw 2 girls fighting on the playground. You walked up, said, hey, that's enough! And you were torn both ways, scratched. You have the scars on your fucking face to know it. Why didn't you learn from those scars? Yeah, and they fucking tore me a new one too. To the point where I'm just like, okay, that's enough out of both of you. Stop it right now. One force leaves the game. The other one starts breaking down and needs to be kicked from the world.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was the bloodiest fucking game and the biggest black spot on my hosting history. And why, going forward, we have decided that no matter what, we will never, ever be having a monetary game of murder mystery.
So I have a question for all of those who were members playing that game. Did that permanently change your outlook on murder mystery or specific players?
Yeah, definitely. Not murder mystery as a whole, but definitely specific players. Because it was just like a bad game. I've had a lot of those outside of insane posting.
The point is,
I believe it was the only game I ever laid down and just laid and waited for death. I literally went to the boys' room and laid in the mirror and waited for somebody to come kill me.
Oh, that game was so bad. I was uncomfortable talking to anyone because I was afraid that, like, everybody was super wound up. And I mean everybody. Everybody looked like they were ready to strike. Insane was pissed. Crow was pissed. Girls were pissed. Shadow wanted death. Like, nobody was having a good time. Everyone was obviously, like, not in the mind space. And honestly, the game probably should have just ended there and then when things got way too hard, or just kicked the bitches out because they were the biggest problem of the situation, because they both had the ideal that they should be special. They should get special treatment. And because they weren't getting special treatment, they got pissed off. Big issue. But the point I want to make is that that's what happens when you act out really, really bad, when you let those feelings take over and have a full-blown meltdown. Everyone's going to be talking about it years later because they are just so fucking flabbergasted with how ridiculous you acted over $20. Like, that, there was no need for that. They could have went on one of those fucking websites and date a girlfriends, got the same money.
It was the worst. Hey, but $20 is $20 in history.
Wait, odd question. Who actually won that game?
Fuck, I don't.
The answer is no one fucking.
I think finally everyone just piddled out.
Who got the money in the end? No one won that game.
God, that makes sense.
I got Takuma.
Gotten it any other way.
Whoa.
I was on a
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you realize how bad it is?
Oh my goodness, Yeah, but that's, unfortunately it was not there. Or fortunately, I suppose.
The thing was, that game was so bad, everyone in the Insane Asylum, even if they don't play murder mystery, you could bring up that horror story, everyone knows about it. Because it was that fucking traumatic. The worst fucking game.
The first thing they do when you bring it up is just like, oh shit, is Insane around? Is he alright? Is he safe?
I literally...
As you saw, that game sends me in a fucking spiral.
Yeah, I dipped from that game. I just emotionally, mentally dipped out and just kind of was like, yeah.
I think after that game, I had stopped hosting for a bit too.
Yeah, it was bad.
Honestly.
I was just like, I need a fucking vacation. Sorry, Crow, you just got to Monokuma status, but I need a fucking vacation.
All right. The next story, some of you may know about this, some of you may not. The Great Pug Murder Mystery of 2020. Now I get to lay on the ground and cry. Let me explain the story for all of you so you all know what was going on.
Because it was most traumatizing. Had the most traumatizing experience. Let her explain.
As you all know, VRChat's updates get a little fucky-wucky sometime. And there was one update in particular that broke every single murder mystery map. Every single one couldn't be used. And I had planned this hosted game for a while. I was upset. I didn't know what to do. Somebody mentioned and made a joke that we should host in the Great Pug. And I said, fuck it. It's got items for weapons. We can use the top floor as the trial room. Let's just try it out. And, you know, I think that game could have went better if I had the usual people playing the game. But because I had a mixing bag of, this was in my era where we had a lot of new people coming in before I had Converse, and we had a lot of new people playing murder mystery for my games. So it was a mixing bag between my IRL friends, people who have barely played, and these guys. It ended up being one of the worst games I ever hosted because it got to the point where people were not paying attention. People were fucking around. It was a joke game, obviously, but they were not taking it seriously enough that I could not host in the way that I needed to. And I remember leaving that game extremely dejected, and people going out of their way to tell me that was not a fun game at all. When in reality, I made everyone vote for that. And everyone, besides like one or two people, voted yes. And those two people ended up leaving the world. So it was incredibly frustrating to have everyone want to do this and then for them to complain about the thing happening that they wanted. And the lesson I want to put there is that sometimes people are fucking stupid and they don't know what they want. They think they know what they want, but then they bitch about it.
That isn't sometimes. People think they know what they want, but they don't. As a creator, as a host, as somebody doing stuff for people, you should know that. People are stupid, they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
They will always self-sabotage.
No, but yeah, I fucking remember that. Yeah, that was...
It's true,
I remember... I even remember what the problem was with the maps, I believe.
It was the buttons. They weren't working.
I believe it had something to do where you weren't able to go inside the doors or something. Or no, it was like a latency. Not latency, but it was like a syncing issue.
Yeah, it was the buttons weren't syncing.
I remember something like, yeah, the buttons were fucked, and items would fall out of the map and not respawn, and just a bunch of shit like that.
Yeah, it was literally unplayable.
Started the murder mystery game
in the precinct, or not the precinct, in the Stinson.
Was it Stinson? I thought it was laboratory.
No, it was precinct.
Because I remember,
precinct.
I remember what it was. Like, we had started the game, going into it a little bit, and someone would come with me like, hey, I can't find the gun, I can't find the bomb, I can't find this, and that. And then we'd, like, try looking for them and be like, okay, if someone's hiding them, we'd restart instances, and then we discovered, oh, all these items are just falling through the floor and never coming back.
It probably started in the precinct, but it ended on the Stinson, because I remember the Stinson is where we took the vote. Because we tried multiple different worlds.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, that game was fucking awful. 0 out of 10. I think it could have been funny with people who knew how to do it. Yeah. If people respected the game. That game showed me a lot of people.
I felt bad about that because I think I just left. because it just wasn't working, and it was just like.
Yeah, the whole reason why I even brought up the idea in the first place is because I know she planned that for a really long time, and she just end this with that. Well, the map aren't working. Goodbye.
Yeah.
No, Bernard,
So
it was all your fault.
All right, I can blame Bernard. That's good enough for me.
Okay, fair.
The L King.
All right.
Oh God.
And I promised we were going to talk about it, Insane. We're going to talk about it now. Some of you may know them. I won't name drop them, so if you don't know them or you don't recognize it from this, the individual who would constantly roleplay as a robot and told the story about impregnating another player who turned out to be a minor.
Can you actually repeat what you just said? I think I heard you wrong.
This individual who we've given the code name Early to Breakfast. Yeah, they started out like enthused about the game, which is something we love. We always love to see a good bit of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Until we realized one little thing. This person was a role player. And I don't mean like Bernard goes out to different like roleplay events and will roleplay as different characters at events.
Yeah.
No, I mean from the second they are plugged into their fucking VR, they change. Something in them fucking changes, and they no longer see themselves as a human being. No, they came in as a robot, constantly talking about their circuits, their drives, and shit like that. They even had a moment with Moon here, who was playing as a little sheep Kumo for me, where we'd fuck with him and say, oh, we're taking this drive out so we wouldn't have to hear him speak or wouldn't have to hear him do this, and that, and that. Moon ate it. Just, you know, because Moon likes being a little shit sometimes. It's nothing against
Guy
Moon.
was
It's just
fucking
how
weird.
She is when she's Kumaing for me. Yeah, Guy was weird. She just went along with it because Moon doesn't like to just be like, no, oh, you're cringe. Bye-bye.
Oh, damn.
So, she ate it, and then this dude went into like a fucking spiral about it throughout the rest of this game. And one of the things that Moon absolutely hates is this individual called Moon my Secretary of Darkness, which...
I'm flabbergasted.
This
Moon, your child seems to have ascended.
That's his problem, not mine. This individual, the issue with them was that they made everything a role play, and they made everything really. Role playing's not wrong, but they were not giving consent about situations, and the way that they role played made everything sound too real. I had joined the game late, and he was already dead, like crying on the spectator floor about how when he was in high school, he had a high school sweetheart, and they had sex, and like they had a kid together, but the parents of the girlfriend made her like deleted the fetus. And he went away. He got like they moved away so that he could never see her again. But then it turns out he was like, but I just saw her today, and it turns out that she had the baby, and like she's been looking for me this whole time. So I'm finally with her, and I'm like, well, that's great. Maybe you shouldn't be playing murder mystery, and you should go like figure out your IRL stuff first. And he's like, no, she's in the game. She's right down there. And I'm like, what? And I look down, and he's pointing at somebody who was 16. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I realized, I'm like, oh, this is a role play. I was like, we're going to hard stop there. That's a kid. That's a minor. And he's like, no, she said it was okay. I'm like, it doesn't matter. As an adult, hot take. I keep saying hot take. This isn't a hot take. As an adult, you do not do those kind of role plays with kids. Yeah. Do not role play that you've impregnated a kid.
This is also one of the reasons why I say if something's making you uncomfortable, bring it straight to the host.
Yep.
'Cause guess who was hosting that game? Me.
Yep.
Guess who didn't know this information until way fucking later?
Yep.
Also me.
He did, to give Insane credit, he did kick the guy, though. Not because of the uncomforting things, because it wasn't brought up till later. But the guy kept talking, and that's why I ate the talking driver or whatever. He was like, because I'm just going to get revived if they find my part. I was like, oh, is this it? He was like, yeah. And I'm like, nom. He's like, no! And then he wouldn't stop talking during trials. And so Insane ended up kicking him. And,
I fucking shot him. I dragged him out back, threw his circuits in a fucking wash tub, making sure they could never be used again, and then just shot him.
Yeah, no, he was a very uncomfortable individual. There's a point where you could take things too far, and realistically, none of us were even comfortable enough to try and talk to him about it, because he also not only made those weird comments, but then he randomly joined off me later, like a few days later, and he looks at me and he's just like, oh no, if a man randomly joins and starts beating me and I start crying out for help, he's just my master. It's just something that we do. And I was uncomfortable and I said, okay, you're gone now. We're leaving. There are some people who take things too far, and it's better to just get them out of there. Don't entertain them.
Get the juice. Get the juice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here's the thing with that fucking person. I tried.
I want to share my.
I tried with them.
Oh.
I walked
Your
up to
next
them
pie.
and was just like, just wait a second. Using pie as an example, I walked up to them and I'm just like, listen, buddy. I get that you're really in a role play. I get that. I can see your enthusiasm about this. But this is not a role play game. This is just a bunch of friends coming together to just shoot the shit and play a game.
Don't come at me.
Anyways, you need to understand that these people are just trying to have a good time. They're not gonna go super in-depth with you about roleplay because this isn't a roleplay game. I do host roleplay games if you'd like to try it there, but here at this game, you just need to tone it down because we aren't trying to roleplay, we're just trying to have fun. And this fucker just looks me straight through the windows of my soul and just goes, oh yeah, okay, I understand, and then goes outside, and then, you know, the whole... I'm not even gonna repeat it because it makes me want to gag.
Yeah. It was bad. What did you have to say, Pi?
Oh, I don't like the individual in question because I myself am a bit of a role player. I like to put on a character, as Insane as known. I've done it in the past. So I was like, oh, okay, someone else who enjoys a good bit of character.
Yeah. He doesn't define you.
I just wanted to be a silly little detective interrogating people in a room.
It's okay.
And he made it so weird.
Yeah.
Like he was like talking about like his past jail trauma, about like weird shit, man. Real weird shit. Like okay, but like the reality of that is there is a very important distinction between there is role playing for the sake of adding a bit of, you know, flavor to a game, and then there's
flavor,
just giving yourself a bit of motivation, because I cannot play Murder Mystery, especially when it's fucking 6 hours long.
Insane.
When I'm with no motivation, so I give myself a bit of a character, whatever is related to my role, and I'll lean into it a bit purely so I have a bit of a goal for myself. So if I'm a serial killer, I'll lean into that. If I'm the mastermind, for example, I'll do everything in my power to turn people on each other. I remember.
Don't blame Insane when people don't kill.
Specifically, that kind
last
of
4 nights.
There's a difference between leaning and going full fucking throttle off the rails into a family of 5.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And you want us, the family of 5.
You want to clip the orphan. You know, you want to clip the orphan on the way around the corner. No one cares.
God damn it.
But no, and so that sort of energy, and not just roleplay, but that sort of energy in all sorts of terms will just negatively impact the game for everyone. If you go too far with anything, so if you get too into a debate and start screaming at the top of your lungs and fucking losing your mind, there's gonna be a problem. If you're, you know, interfering with people, doing, you know, talking and shit constantly, it's gonna take away from the game. And that person was 100% just a negative impact on games entirely. Okay.
Yeah.
He only
Yeah,
played in, like,
the thing
2
about-
of them.
I remember seeing him a lot more, but I think I joined other hosts and where he was there. The thing about, adding on to what he said about being bad roleplay influence to the game, he would constantly just overtake certain parts of the game, like introductions. I know people at Converse, you guys don't have introductions. I want to change that in my games, but he would just go on and on and on and on about his character, and it was so not even just boring. It was just
He
like
didn't give you an introduction,
mind-numbing.
He gave you the full fucking Director's Addiction novel.
Yeah. At some point, I knew someone had to do something. I just told him, is there a rest stop between now and the fucking point? And it got him a little bit faster. And like, legitimately, do not be that player that takes hostage of the game, because it is just it just paints a big target on your back. And after death, sometimes he would go up and talk shit about Insane. I don't know if you knew that, but he did.
He seems the type.
Trust me, but
Okay.
you know damn well that I don't give a fuck about the opinions of most players.
Right, no, but legitimately, he was just like trying to convince people that you were this horrible person based off of like some weird role play thing. Do not be this player, please.
Listen, I don't
I'm
take
begging
role
you.
players seriously. That's why.
Good.
That's why I genuinely did not give a shit.
Pip, did you have something to say?
I just think, long story short, it's a case of sometimes there are players where you just gotta block them.
Yeah.
Like, everybody just has to block
Mm-hmm.
them. Like, if the entire room can come to the consensus of this person's fucking weird, they're probably weird and you can just kick.
Yeah.
Wow, that can sound kind of rude to some people who might have like anxiety and shit, thinking, oh, I think I'm kind of weird. Here's the thing about that. Like I said, I tried with the guy. He was coming off really strong. I pulled him aside to the quiet room, not making a huge scene out of it, and being like, hey buddy, yeah, I get you're really into this, but here we're a bit toned down. So I gave him like a choice of, you can tone it down, we'll all be like friends with you, because we're, as much as we're like slamming down the hammer on this guy, the Insane Asylum community is very accepting, and it extends to the Converse as well. We are extremely accepting people.
Mm-hmm.
So when we slam down this hard on someone, know that we have given them chances.
As somebody mentioned earlier,
This dude
there
just walked over him.
Yeah, there is a point where you get tired of dealing with the same bullshit over and over, and you're much more direct. Converse is at that point now where there is bullshit we are not going to tolerate anymore, because we are tired of dealing with it. We are tired of seeing the same issues over and over and over again. And the Insane Asylum, yeah, that guy, realistically, at the beginning of the Insane Asylum, maybe he would have been able to play for like 2 months. Like, there are still people in the server that I'm surprised are still in the Insane Asylum, because they don't act right. But at the end of the day, there's a point where you have to stand up for both your players, your game, and yourself, and be like, no, the way you are acting is inappropriate. And that guy was incredibly inappropriate. He was not kind to other people. He was not respecting the host or the other players. It was very clear that he was just trying to get his rocks off, even if it wasn't like intimately. He had some kind of issues that he needed to work on. It's not that you're weird.
Don't say that with what the fucking OP he was doing.
Well, am I lying?
You can't.
Am I lying?
Just, yes, but phrase it any other way because of the fucking type of roleplay he did.
That's the point that I'm making, though, is that some people will take advantage of your events and the things that you're at for their own personal gain. And, you know, if for having fun, that's not a bad thing. But if they're taking advantage in a weird way or making other people uncomfortable, they gotta fucking go. And with him in particular, the thing that aggravated me about him was just, it wasn't fair. Like, how do I word this? If you're weird, people are gonna give chances. I'm weird. Everybody here is fucking weird. We met each other and thrived our relationships on killing, gaslighting, and like blackmailing each other and backstabbing each other. Like, we constantly fucked each other over, but we're friends. We're all fucking weird. We all have our issues with each other. We all have issues with, like, ourselves.
I would have my vengeance one day.
Exactly. We talked about that earlier, actually. We all are weird people. You being weird is not going to be a reason that you're removed. You being non-consenting, creepy, unempathetic, causing problems to others is what's gonna get you removed. And a lot of these stories encompass that and boil down to literally just that. It's just a game, but you still have to put other people's, like, boundaries in mind. And that brings up, I'm trying to think of other really good ones, because those were the main ones that I had mentioned.
I got one.
Okay.
This is a friendly PSA. Murder Mystery is a game about lying, deceit, fucking each other over. It is a fun little thing to lie to your friends, kill them, have some fun, try to figure out who the mastermind is. Murder Mystery, however, is not the place to trauma dump.
I was just about to bring that up.
Are we on about? Are we on about?
There's been a
bark beef.
terrible name,
Horrid with that,
but
I appreciate you trying.
I tried. I really tried.
You could have gone. You should have gone Lightwood.
Yeah.
I like Lightwood.
Okay,
listen.
There are a lot of people.
It's okay.
We've talked about it a little bit, but there are a lot of people who will take murder mystery as a way to excuse their behavior in negative ways, which is why the invisible rule: don't fucking play when in a bad mood. There's been the one story I was going to mention was there was a game where I was spectating, because I used to spectate a lot, and there was a player who was very active at the beginning. They left about when I started getting more active, but they spent the entire game at the spectator zone, which everyone can hear, the spectators crying about their life, and that was not fair to the players, because one, whoever killed them felt bad for killing them, and two, it was just not an appropriate thing. Like, trauma dumping, as much as it's important to get those feelings out, it needs to be, once again, with consent to the people who are listening, because your trauma dump might be traumatic to somebody else, and that's not okay to trauma someone else just because you want to get your feelings out to a bunch of people. You got to be understanding of that. I don't know what you were going to say, but I want to throw that in there.
Extending on that note in a different direction, because this Lightwood was brought up. Murder Mystery is also not the place to play dating scene. It really isn't. It can make other players uncomfortable, can make a lot of other players uncomfortable, to be honest, and can make the host feel uncomfortable and dirty, having to witness and having to deal with you afterwards. If you're there for murder mystery, you're there for murder mystery. Don't think you're there to get a girlfriend, to hook up, to trauma dump, to do any of that. Play the game. Make friends is fine. Play the game. Don't make any of the hosts have to deal with anything that they are not mentally prepared to deal with that day. Let me tell you, in my games, for just example, all hosts put so much effort in their games. I can speak on my behalf of having a bunch of different game modes, different roles, different everything. There is a lot of effort that goes into hosting murder mystery. The host already has enough on their head, especially them leaving empty room to deal with problems to come. Now, what we don't want to deal with is you creeping out other players by just being like, oh, Pi, I was gonna use you, because you're the easiest to just go off of and go like, oh. Hey, I like the way your jawline is. Blah blah blah. Meanwhile,
hey, they're good looking. What's cooking?
Each other in the background.
So I have that besides one hand.
She's gonna put you through a wall.
There are so many things that
I'm gonna dance for you.
Hosting murder mystery, that is just not healthy for the human mind.
I know you like them reversed.
And
like the girls match just
watching a dude get shot down over and over because he's just a fucking freak, and then it being brought directly to me, and I actually have to grab this piece of fucking human slime and toss him to the side, be like, hey,
we're gonna talk about that.
Don't fucking flirt with this chick. You have zero chance, and she is uncomfortable.
I'd like to add, and I think this is probably going to be like the last one for me. is also when it comes to other hosts, don't fucking try to steal other players' games. Don't purposely try to host at the same time as other people just to try and make them choose. We've had situations where people would join and all right, there's a lot of things that like different hosts have coined for the first time. There are techniques that I've done, like my I wasn't the first person that did roleplay murder mystery, but I feel like I was the first person that did horror mode. Insane has his Kumas, and I'm sure there's other things that'll come up to mind right off the bat, but there are things that he's made and he's changed in murder mystery that no other host has. There is this other hosts who have made things that maybe we don't see as that useful. One of those things being something that used to be called the Monokuma Rage.
Oh, or that too.
Yeah, that too. That's less important though. The Monokuma Rage is the one that I want to talk about because the Monokuma Rage rule is pretty simply, if you piss off the owner or the host of the game, they could just go on a killing spree. I hated that rule. I absolutely despised it, and I made it very clear. I straight up, I despised it so much. And I know this isn't me being a good sport, but that thing never felt fair. I would just sit still. I did not want to run. I did not want to hide. I wanted nothing to do with it. So if they chose to kill me, they chose to kill me. Because I felt like it was an unfair tactic, and there were people who I purposely avoid playing with because they would use the Monokuma Rage way too often, and it wasn't fair. The person who coined the Monokuma Rage left for a while, came back, and pretty much, for some reason, assumed that Insane was a threat to his own hosting. So he would go out of his way, and he would join Insane's games, distract Insane.
Poison.
I don't remember his fucking name.
I remember his name. That's why I said Garrett Poison to just coin off of it.
He would purposely move Insane away from spawn, and then respawn. Tell people that Insane's not hosting anymore and to join the other portal. He would purposely try to steal other players because he wanted to host
actually,
games.
I have the full story because I got this memorized.
Okay.
Oh my god, dude.
So this person. Once again, I don't know, I really didn't affiliate with Bloodbath or really knew any other host. There was only one murder mystery game that I had played, and that was fucking Mama in Shadows. I played their game, and then immediately got hooked and just like, you know what, I'm gonna try hosting this. Very next day, I was in the murder mystery lobby, rounding up players.
Didn't you play one with Freedom Fire? Oh no, you were with them, weren't you? I think.
What?
Fuck Freedom Fire. That's when I first met you. But whatever, continue. Don't mind me.
No.
Freedom Fire. We have
coffee.
This dude, I guess, as Moon said, was an older host who had gone away for a bit and then came back. And when they came back, they were immediately fronting on me when they joined my lobby and brought like a group of their players with them. They came up to me and were just like, "Hey you, I need to talk to you in the quiet room now." I'm just like, okay. Let's go. So I brought him into the room and immediately just went, "Oh, hey, I heard that you're like a good host right now, that a lot of people are talking about blah, 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 blah." Basically went on gushing about me, I guess to try to get on my good side, and then being like, "Yeah, so I'm an old host, I'm pretty popular myself, blah, blah, blah. I was thinking it'd be cool if you collaborated with me. So I'm extending this invitation to you to do this and this and this and that and be a part of my thing so that you could combine your communities with mine, blah, 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 blah." I basically just told him, yeah, here's the thing, bud. I've built myself up from nothing. I don't affiliate with any sort of community servers or anything. I'm strictly on my own thing. I'm not against other hosts or anything, but I don't feel like joining up with some boy band. And then he's like, okay. Well, my guys out there think I'm probably in here tearing you a new one or something. If that's your answer, we could be done talking here. Yeah, we could go back to spawn. And I'm just like, So we respawn, and he's like, "Okay, everyone, yeah, we finished up talking what we needed to talk about. Anyways," and then going up to the people who were lined up for my game. "Anyways, I'm gonna be hosting today. If anyone would like to join, I'm dropping a portal right over there. So feel free to come along if you want." As I'm just standing behind him, looking at him like, this motherfucker. So drops a portal. "All right, guys. Well, I'll be seeing those of you who joined there." Walks through. whoever joined off of him walked through, and I'm just standing here next to the portal. Everyone on the wall stays on the wall, just looking at me, just like, what the fuck was that? And then I told them exactly what happened. I didn't hide anything. I'm just like, okay, so this is what that guy was about. Anyways, sorry for the delay. Let's play the fucking game.
The point I want to bring up with them is specifically, like I said, every host is different, but as we get more hosts or there are different people playing, there are other murder mystery servers out there, for sure. And one of the big things about Dead End that I'm hoping that'll happen is you can promote your own servers in there, and you can like meet other hosts and like promote when you're hosting and all that stuff. And maybe if murder mystery gets revived to the point where it's as popular as it used to be a couple years ago, it'd be nice to know that people aren't going to pull games like that, because that was fucking shocking. And that's just a little touch of what happened at the aftermath. There was a long portion that we're not going to get into beforehand where there was a player going back and forth between them because there was like this weird rivalry that didn't even exist. Because this guy felt entitled.
A one-sided rivalry.
Yeah, to all of the attention because he hosted first. And it doesn't matter. I hosted before Intuos hosted Murder Mystery. I've hosted before Shadow Boy Fun, or before Nebula, or I don't know, before Crow maybe. But like the point is, it would be completely wrong for me to go out and be like, hey, if I
asking me,
if like
asked me for advice on how to host.
I hosted like a long ass time ago.
Yeah, they hosted a long time ago. But the point I'm making is it would be fucking disgusting if I went forward and like I saw, I don't know, fucking Shadow Boy over there was hosting a game. I went into the game and said, hey guys, I'm actually going to be hosting today. I've been hosting for longer. Come join this portal. That's downright disrespectful. Please do not disrespect other hosts or do not disrespect other players. Like let them, if somebody tries promoting other like hosts or whatever, fucking tell the host or they can get kicked. Because we're not playing this backyard bullshit. But that's where I am going to end it. If you guys would like to continue, you can. I told somebody I would go say happy birthday to them, and I am running now a little bit late. Huh? Yeah, that's already happened.
It's already happened.
Thank you.
Someone's actually gonna leave her stream here for us, guys.
Yeah, I wish. Thank you all so much for being part of it. I appreciate you all taking the time to come and answer some questions. All of you, we will have more of a conversation in the actual Converse server. Thank you for showing up. And for all the people who showed up at stream also, thank you so much for showing up. This will be on the test. I will end this with saying that this is a big change, and I know it's going to be a big change for a lot of you because this doesn't just cover murder mystery. This also covers events in general, and I can hear myself. Thank you. Pretty much, as you can see from all the stories we've told and how many people have talked about it, when there are issues in the game, it magnifies and sticks around over time, and you don't want that to happen. I know it's hard to take control of your feelings when you're feeling hurt or upset or angry, but there is a point where you have to learn that it is just a game, and we're all here to have fun. And from this moment on, if there are people who are very clearly not wanting to have fun with the game, they're going to be removed. End of story. Sorry. I don't want to be a dick, but we're here to have fun. On the other side of that, though, we're always looking for new players because we need more players, because the more players mean more variety, means more different kind of style of game and more fun. And that means more people will want to put more effort into their gaming and hosting and all that stuff and world building so that we have more stuff. But yeah, thank you all so much. I'm going to end the stream there, and I'm just going to ignore them because that's the easiest thing to do. Pi, did you just hit yourself?
What?
Bye.